Steven will probably be listening to this.
Yeah, he will.
So let's just do this so we can all remember it. What floor are you on?
405, jackass.
405. See, I thought it was floor 5 again, but okay.
The unit is 405. Here we go. And the man of the hour is about to step in here and be absolutely surprised and flawed.
All right, so we have a drink for him, right?
Hey!
Hey!
Welcome to the
Steve-O's Three-0 podcast.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Get in here.
So he's going to jump right in here. Come on, step in. Look how ready he is. It's adorable.
Jazz, can you wind me?
Steven, come and take a seat. This is
We're having
seriously
we're
great.
literally
Steve-O's Three-0
having a
podcast?
He's
Nibs
that
is
was
not
all
here.
a lie.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nubble, if you
Sorry.
read this.
How's it
We're
going?
going to have to replan Nubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do something again with Nubs.
in a dream.
For those who can't hear, he
That
said
is-
We're
this
doing a
is-
podcast.
Yeah.
On what?
On
Sports.
Sports
matter?
on Steven.
First podcast?
This is our first podcast.
Why am I only the secretive, like,
Because
member?
It's
your
for your
birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
And me and Mark are going to be there and stuff, so we figured we'd do something special for you. So grab your mic there, sir. Grab us some wine.
Yeah, yo,
And, we're going to
What is this meant- what?
wine him. No, this is Jazzy.
Are you ready?
Jazzy's got it.
You're actually just supposed to stay here.
Just sit.
Take a seat.
Yeah.
Just sit.
Yeah.
I know this is a lot for you right now.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I told
When
you.
you were like,
I told you.
ETA,
I called it.
ETA.
I called it. I
Yeah.
called two of them. I called two of them.
Buddy tells just watching
Mouth
football.
up to the mic, sir. Mouth up to the mic.
I called
Yeah.
both of them. Give
Yeah,
them time
there
to
you go. Sorry.
Who
calibrate.
has all? How did you get all this stuff?
We rented it.
Watch out for that wine. Watch out for that wine.
There you go.
This is crazy.
Yes.
You did call that
So he's
ETA.
surprised, yeah.
I called ETA and I said the overwhelmed.
We were-
Cap year.
overwhelmed. You capped that? Oh, my bad, dude. The SkyTrain, $2.10.
No, I know, but then I have to walk to the SkyTrain. I was like,
You know how close it is to your house and to my house?
That is actually insane how close it is.
what's up, Mark?
Yeah, man.
Hey, what's up, man? Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Steven, you're still a little far away
Oh,
because
sorry. How
we
can you
can't
tell?
hear you.
Yeah, I heard.
Just speak
Oh.
into the mic.
I heard you have a new roommate.
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
There you go. Now you can hear yourself, right?
exciting.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, how's
Yeah,
it going?
Wait,
It's-
who's hearing this podcast?
Everyone, it's recorded.
Mainly for you, actually.
So Pika, why don't you talk about distribution? Let them know about distribution and the thoughts on that,
I
and
have no idea
then
what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
distribution of
Oh,
the
yeah,
pod.
yeah. Sorry, what the plan is? Well, we're gonna see. Like, we'll edit this accordingly. If obviously there's something in here that you say that you don't want released to the public,
Oh,
so
yeah.
say whatever you want.
Oh,
obviously.
perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly. So answer Mark's question for sure. Detail. But yeah.
For sure.
For what is that my thing?
Sure.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
He says sure instead of sure.
No, Jazz.
East Coast thing.
What are you typing over
They
there?
say
T.O.
sure. Yeah.
8 months in Toronto and
Tell
he's
you
already
later.
talking
Yeah.
like an Eastern.
Yeah.
Tirana.
Is that recording by the way? Yeah.
Toronto.
So we also have video as well.
Toronto.
This is
I
nuts.
know.
Yeah.
I know. So
Okay, so first things first.
cheers.
Yes.
Gentlemen. Happy
Cheers.
Hey.
This is for my birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Oh,
gonna
thanks,
you're
guys.
getting and like
I mean, this is becoming a thing.
Is that a
It could become a thing now.
hopefully.
I tell you, Dan has a podcast.
No, we've all listened to it.
And this will be one of the things we're gonna cut out.
No, don't worry. It's
Ouch.
Oh, okay.
I'll just say, like, when we first started, it took a little bit of time to get used to the mic, and give it 5 minutes and you'll be flowing.
okay. Yeah.
Just like
Kinda
this.
weird,
This
your
is-
own voice, eh?
Yeah, it does. It is kind of weird.
Are we
And-
missing
and-
a set of headphones?
No, we're not. I'm just not wearing them right now. I'm not going to because I think it's really weird.
Pika, can you actually talk into the mic?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can you? Hear me?
Yeah, there.
Way better.
I
Way
can
better.
actually see my levels. So and on the screen there.
Yeah, but you keep moving your head.
Yeah. I know. Sorry.
So
sorry,
maybe
sorry,
adjust the
sorry.
microphone
I will,
instead of
I will.
adjusting
The-
your
So
face so
I
much.
just wanted to quickly, if everyone can make their attention to the screen right now, and we can see the current ranks of our NBA pool.
Oh.
Can you
Oh.
increase it?
And can I?
My eyes
Hey,
are-
My eyes
is
are
it-
really bad.
Is that
I
me in
can't see.
second?
Mine's are really bad.
So here we go.
Late,
We
is
have
am I no longer in last?
Well, I'm actually in last right now.
Who's Andy?
That's me. I know.
I don't know who I was talking to, but I said that if Mark or Jazz won the pool, I'd probably give up watching basketball.
Wow. The first. That's
Wait,
the
why-
That's
why
a
Mark?
hot take.
Why Mark?
Is that a
I
hot
had a
take?
good. I had a good team, but my one question: do you guys remember when Steven offered to trade me the New York Knicks and Brooklyn for Golden
Did you
State?
actually mean that, by the way?
He would.
No,
Were you honest?
what?
So they have
You were
30.
gonna trade? You were gonna trade?
They
Oh,
have
at the beginning of the year, yeah.
They have 33 wins between the two, and Golden State has 31, but only
That's
8
pretty close
losses.
then.
But I think like you compare the losses, they've got 44 losses.
Oh, so they just played more games.
I think. I don't know. It's a difficult one to compare.
No, because you're comparing two teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to Andy. Andy talks about a lot about this, and he privately messages me, not
Oh,
just in
yeah.
the group. And so he basically was saying that. Oh, he was saying that the like if you have first pick, it's not good. Like I was looking through your picks, and it's just you had a disadvantage when you're first pick. I was looking through the different picks, and then because he had fourth or fifth pick,
Yeah.
he had fifth and then sixth pick, or fifth and seventh
So
pick.
he's
Yeah.
strategic
He had
about his
two
picks.
solid teams.
I don't
That's
wanna
what I
talk about
did.
it. I don't want to talk about it.
What?
Sorry. First of all, can someone please read the points because I can't actually read those.
Yeah,
Jazz Paul. What? Jazz Paul has
I'm at
100,
101.
He's
101.
1 point behind Andy.
Oh, sorry.
for
Okay,
first.
so Andy's first at 102.
Yeah.
Jazz Paul's at 101. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I know.
Imran 98,
98. Then Steven.
96,
Steven fell from grace.
I
Holy
know.
shit! That's
I
that
know.
five. That's that 5-game losing streak for Houston.
and New York started off really strong, and
then
They've
has
kinda teetered off.
And then
yeah.
Which is a
Porzingis-
lot of teams like that.
Yeah, well,
And-
Mark had the best start at the beginning.
oh yeah.
well, guys, like the Clippers. Can we just
Okay,
like the,
Wait,
And then wait, and then-
your second, your third, yeah.
And then Mark's
third best
at. Mark's at.
I'm at 90.
90. Is that the
Peak and
last
I are
one?
tied for last, but I like the Lakers. You picked them so early, Pika.
Dude, that just like ruined the rest of the draft
I
because
did.
you
I
picked the
know,
Lakers so
I know, I
early.
know, I know. I
That let
forgot-
other people have
But
picked other
he-
teams.
He believed. He
I
believed in the
should've
magic. He believed in the magic.
What would I would have had?
And you were so excited
I
when they
would've
were
had
like
9 more
8th
points.
place or 7th
I
place
know.
in the
I would've
first
been
10 games of
I
the
would've been
season.
third right now.
I-
Son of a bitch. All right. Imran did actually prepare a few topics for conversation right now.
Mm.
I don't necessarily have the list in front of me.
I got
but
it.
I want to pull it up
I
right
got-
now.
I got
I'm
it.
gonna see if I can
Ashton.
bring it up.
I think the place we got to start because Steven's wearing obviously the Houston hat. We got to start with that last game, the last Houston game. Houston versus Golden State. Was it Thursday?
Okay.
Is there actually anything we can infer from this game? Is this indicative of anything? No Harden, no KD. Doesn't matter. I know the Splash Bros balled out like they always do.
That was impressive. That was a
But-
nice looking Golden
But
State.
like that was it. Golden State
Like,
is looking.
that was
nice.
like Golden State 2 years ago.
Yeah.
that is
Last
looking
game?
nice. And I actually kind of think they're like Kerr's like let's just see, let's just give KD a night off and let's just see. Also, not to show your full cards to Houston. Was that anything? Like, does that game matter, or is that just like whatever? It's not a real game.
I think that you got to take some points to it. Like, I mean, Chris Paul, I love what Chris Paul's doing in Houston right now without Harden, just because.
No, that was a dirty stat line he had last game.
Oh yeah, and just the way he's playing, like the overtime game before that game. Who was it against? I don't know who it was. But
The Lakers.
yeah, the
Like
Lakers, that
140. It
double
was like
overtime game.
142, 148.
But as soon as Harden went down, he took over, and like it was like you need a second star, and that's what you need a second star for.
Yeah.
So even when Harden's not gonna be playing, one thing I don't know who I was talking to, but Harden, I feel like right now they're playing so fluid, especially even Golden State, they're playing so fluid, and Harden he puts a stop to it sometimes. Because like I love Harden so much.
Yeah,
like
no.
come on, he's averaging
Yeah.
31 points a game.
Yeah.
I don't know what 10 assists a game,
No.
but he puts a stop to
he doesn't move
like
the ball.
yeah. Sometimes he just does a one-on-one offense, and
Yeah.
like it's not like it's either him driving or him kicking.
And,
That's
and,
it.
and the free throws, drawing those weird calls,
Yeah.
getting to the line. But
Yeah, I was impressed with Eric Gordon too in
Oh,
that
yeah.
game, right? Like he's always been steady, and I was like, maybe there's something there for like long term support in the final or in the playoffs. But
Ooh, jumping ahead a little bit there.
Am I?
Fine.
No.
fine.
oh, but I just think like
Okay,
no, but we were
okay.
talking like we were talking Houston, Golden State. Does this
Yeah,
is this telling any?
yeah.
But we're not finals. We're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
Western
we're
Conference
gonna
Finals
see, so-
potentially, right? So, but yeah, I don't know.
One point on Gordon. I don't think he's on an island. He's part of the city. He's part of mainland because it's known that he's good. I've been on that fucking mainland train all year. He's one of my favorite players in the league
What?
right now. Gordon.
Eric
Fucking
Gordon? Oh, yeah,
love
you-
him.
you- yeah, yeah.
Fucking love him because he just comes in when anything else like Harden's attitude will fluctuate, right? Like in terms of drive, but Gordon just comes in and is like, give me the ball. I'm gonna score. I'm gonna go to the net. I'm gonna score. I'm gonna shoot three. I'm gonna get a bucket, easy layup, whatever. And his engine's just purring, and I'm like, I think he's gonna be the guy who's like just. He's underrated catalyst to that team's success.
Yeah.
Because you got Harden and Paul doing it all. Then Gordon's just like Clay. He's like the Clay of that team, except more assertive.
We've talked about this before, but I think health is going to be a big issue for any team. Like if Golden State is fully healthy, they're going to win. But if they have one guy down, that's a huge difference, obviously. If Houston has one, if Harden's not healthy, if Chris Paul's not healthy, then same with Toronto. I mean,
Are they not? Are they?
Gets down, then
Oh, that's fucked. Although we're quite deep this year, but but with Paul and Harden, they're
I was
kind of
gonna say,
interchangeably
especially
taking.
right now. Like if you take a look at the offense now without Harden, you can see how good the offense is flowing without him a little bit, and it's a kind of indicative of like, is Harden ball hogging a little too much right now?
No.
And you're kind of relying on him a little, taking over sometimes.
but they did win 14 straight.
For
too,
sure,
so,
for sure. Don't get me wrong. So I think it's
Without
just a
Paul.
matter of,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was just a clear display of like, this is maybe you should make small adjustments to the offense and move the ball around a little more and stop relying on your stars a little too much to take over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they're purely live and die by the three, right? Isn't that the
Oh,
offense?
yeah.
It's like pure, but it's
And
like
that's the thing
purely
that scares me
live-
too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? I was watching like a video on YouTube about how Antoni's just been how he sort of evolved that whole
Who?
game.
The coach.
D'Antoni,
Yeah.
he sort of evolved the whole evolution of like the three ball essentially. Like when he was with
Oh yeah.
when he was coaching the Suns with Nash and whatnot, and that's kind of where it started. And
Yeah.
then if you watch like the stats in terms of like who has like the most threes as a team, it's been in him. It's been
Yeah.
him, and now it's like what was it last year? Did Rockets have the record last year for most threes?
I
Yeah,
would
they're gonna
guess.
have. They're already like.
And they're
They're gonna surpass it this
exactly
year.
right. So that's just their offense, right?
Yeah, is there a hope for Chris Paul to bring in a bit of a better defense in Houston?
That
like-
he has.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still ranked like in the bottom
No.
20% in defense.
No. I don't know if you have looked at recently because every time I watch their games, they're always ranking them in top 10 defense. Now they're in a top 10 defense.
I feel like
Yeah,
he
so it's-
Yeah, be the stat guy, you guys.
I don't know. I don't have a computer in front of me.
This-
But I'm pretty sure they're a top 10 defense now.
he's
is what it's saying.
disadvantaged. Doesn't have a
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Maybe in the last few. What is it? Middle of the pack?
They're in the bottom 10.
Really?
Describe what you're looking at for the
Yeah,
viewers
so
out there.
I'm
I can
just
keep
looking
up
at
with
an Odd Shark defensive stats ranking all the NBA teams. Which I was surprised to see OKC in the top 3, according to Odd Shark.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That's
Be-
the bigs, though, right?
Before we get too deep into the podcast, should we potentially hear from our sponsors?
Yeah. So we have one sponsor here. Whoever wants to do the particular first read, Jazz, if you wanted to mention yours. Oh wow, he hasn't said a thing yet. You want to?
That's a stage right? No.
No, not stage fright. I thought we were gonna wait for.
I'm just kidding. We don't have to mention any of our sponsors right now. We can continue the podcast, but I'd like the mention mark if you want to just.
What?
We actually have sponsors.
Who is our sponsor?
Our sponsors are actually Jazz's company, mine, and Aaron's. And we were gonna actually make you do a
Makes
me undies
sense.
one. We were actually making you a me undies one as well.
Wait, we're not?
Sherry's
Yeah.
Berries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to read your own sponsor.
Yeah,
Yours
but none of
is
us
your own.
ended up writing it. So,
None
we're
of
gonna-
us ended up writing one. Did you write one?
Oh yeah.
so why don't you lead
Might
it?
as
Why
well
don't
go
you
ahead.
lead it?
From our sponsors, the Steve-O 3-0, for all your marijuana buying stock needs. Come to Q-Trade Investor for your online brokerage needs. You'll find new highs trading marijuana stocks with Q-Trade Investor.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Are marijuana stocks the hot thing
It
right now?
is insane.
Why don't you tell us about that, Mark, a little bit? Actually, we're all curious because we're with this conversation can branch off anywhere you want. So I want to hear a little bit about that right now.
All right. So recently, California legalized the use of recreational marijuana January 1st.
Yeah.
We are seeing companies with $1.5 million in assets, revenues of last quarter of $300,000, taking $600,000 losses, market caps that grew from 25 million to 150 million in 3 weeks.
Goddamn.
Valuations that make 0 sense.
Right.
But people are literally, everyone and their grandma is opening up an online brokerage account right now looking to buy marijuana stocks.
Taking out mortgages and stuff, or
I don't see their credit, but I'm just looking at their investments. It
Is
is
it delaying the
literally
process?
insane.
How long does it take to open an account?
Yeah.
If we were to come to you right
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
how long? How many
Yeah.
days?
Look,
Good question. Good question, Stephen.
you call me, I get you preferred account opening, but regular clients, two to 3 business days your account's
Oh,
open.
What
Not
does
bad.
preferred account opening
That's a good
entail?
question as well.
You call me, I take care of your account application. We'll make sure it gets done.
I'll tell
really
you. I'll
quickly.
give you a little insight on the TD.
Were
how many
there some
days-
outages recently? I heard there were some
it
outages
takes-
at TD.
They're saying it's taking
Shots fired.
between.
Shots fired over by
They're taking
TD.
it takes between 10 to 15 business days right now to open up account.
Wait,
A
what? That's
brokerage
investing?
brokerage account. Yeah,
Yeah.
direct investing.
Yeah.
Because of the quantity of
Accounts being
accounts being open. Because most likely because of the marijuana.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is absolutely
nuts.
insane.
Who's the
So now is a good time to get out.
I don't think yet. I think you wait a couple more months.
Honestly, I was telling people like a month ago, guys, the valuations are insane. You need to sell,
Yeah.
and then they quadrupled in value.
I just
So-
like it's all. This is I think we're seeing a wave of irrational behavior, and
It's
but we know where the wave will peak. Like right now, what's going to bring the valuation down? Once we realize that forecasts aren't actually going to live up to expectations, which we're not going to see in the first quarter to 2. So July 1st is our date, our
For
deadline,
Canadian,
right?
yeah.
So as you build up to that point, people are going to continue to get excited because we don't have evidence to prove otherwise. So as you get up to that July 1st, I think, in my opinion, I'm going to hold until at least March. And hold
Yeah.
until at least March. And once March comes, at that point, it's almost like just fucking get rid of everything. And then because after July 1st, then the numbers will start to trickle in. Then they'll have data that supports doesn't support the valuation. Right now, You don't actually have anything. It's all theories. It's all like we think this is the
Speculation.
it's all
Yeah.
speculation. So and we can. In my opinion, I'm actually gonna ride it for like a couple more months,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna fucking dog out.
What a
Plus,
surprise.
I got rid of my principal, so I'm actually just riding on.
Yeah, you're game.
I'm a little suspicious of like, or sorry, a little apprehensive about whole Jeff Sessions of proposing the bill to be
That's interesting.
of getting I guess making keeping marijuana Schedule 1 narcotic, right?
Mhm.
And it's not I think it's retracting Obama's bill of legalizing current
Yeah.
infrastructure of marijuana
Yeah.
retail shops. I don't necessarily.
Yeah, that's what
understand
caused that fall recently, right?
Yeah.
It was 2 days ago.
So if-
Yeah, well, it was on a really hot track, and then it came down. I just
It
think
came down, yeah,
right
only 5
now,
or 10%,
right now, what we're
something.
seeing with the outages at the major online brokerages in Canada
Mhm.
and the amount of volume they're receiving is people who have no business investing, who don't understand valuations, who don't understand financials, are buying these because their friends and whoever they know is in it or is in business in it, and they're just buying because they were told to buy.
Yeah.
And valuation doesn't matter. They're just buying, and that's what's driving prices. That's
Just
why
like
weed. That's
cryptocurrency.
exactly similar
It's
to
like- it's
cryptocurrency,
parallel. It's
Bitcoin,
just-
right?
This is
So-
accessible. Crypto's not accessible. Not
Exactly.
as accessible.
Yeah,
It's like
very
my
true.
dad, same thing. He just is like, here's my Quest Trade account. Here are the details. Do what you want. Whatever money's in this account, do what you gotta do with it. I'm like, Dad, I got you 50%. He's like, just keep going. I was like, okay. Mom, same thing. But it's her nest egg, so I'm a little bit more nervous. She's like, oh, can we invest in marijuana? She was ahead of the curve though, so we actually would have crushed it. But still, like same thing. Those are the people who know nothing about this, who don't smoke it at all, and they're like, just go for it. I was
So
like,
you know.
Huh?
To your knowledge, they don't smoke it.
That's
Well,
a
I
good
mean,
point.
we-
That's a very good
funny
point. They did grow up in Africa. So
And we actually had Imran's mom call in just a few minutes before Steven
We
got
did,
here.
and you know,
Oh,
speaking
on the
of people calling
podcast.
in, I'm
Yeah.
actually gonna message somebody.
our
But
first
continue,
guest.
sir.
Our first guest.
Yeah, we're gonna call in our first guest in a second here.
As
but,
you can see, Steven's
next
kind of
to-
like, what is happening?
Yes.
So okay, so let's bring it back to ball. Yeah.
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm just kind of curious. How you doing so far, Steven?
I'm still in a dream right now.
I'm actually quite
Did
surprised.
someone say in a dream?
I said he was going to say, like, oh my God,
I
oh my
know.
God, and be.
Yeah. Any
Overwhelmed.
questions?
When
Any
I first
thoughts?
when I first walked in the door and I saw Mark, I'm like, oh, cool, Mark's here. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird because I thought it was just gonna be me and him and Nibs.
Yeah. Sorry,
and
Nibs.
then, yeah,
you
so
saw
where's
me wearing,
Nibs?
you saw us
Uh,
wearing headphones.
He's not invited to this. Oh, sorry, Nibs.
You listen to
And
this.
then
We kept it Friday night happy hour, pretty much.
Oh, okay. And then yeah, and then I walked in and see a camera, I see everyone in microphones, and like it was like a dream. Actually, I thought I was in a dream.
But you did jump into it like right away. You're like,
What am I supposed to do?
No, but,
I
like-
got given a microphone. I got given.
Sit apprehensively on the couch, obviously.
yeah,
Just watch us.
that is true.
Yeah, so
Alright.
I told him to call now, but
Him.
Him.
Keep it
Okay.
at him.
yeah.
You gave away too much.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. It's Sarah.
Uh,
It's calling.
I can't even think of a him. That's not in the Friday happy hour group that you would call.
Ro-
For
Yeah.
Rolling back into the ball.
Yeah, who do you think is going to rookie of the year? I'm actually kind of curious.
Okay, so we're jumping to that one. Who's
Yeah.
gonna win Rookie of the Year?
I think it's Simmons right now. Or who's the gentleman?
I cashed
from
out
Jam?
on that.
Did you?
So remember, to
His stats
the
were
Wait, wait.
listeners,
What-
to the
yeah,
listeners,
there
To the listeners.
I put a little capital on before the NBA season started on a bunch of either Rookie of the Year, MVP, all that kind of stuff, and I picked Simmons to. I put $50 on Simmons to win the Rookie of the Year to pay out $200, cashed it out at $180.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just in case of any injury, $20 is whatever.
That's
$20.
that's good.
Yeah,
Like I'm
I know.
surprised they went that high on the buyout.
I know,
These
man.
marijuana stocks when you can just bet on the rookie of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
I have some recent stat
Stevie's-
updates.
Oh,
on
and
it.
then
That's
a special
best.
guest calling in.
Stevie's
Sorry to interrupt
best-
or anything, but we have
Oh,
a special guest calling in. Special guest, if you want to introduce yourself.
What up, Cash?
Can you hear us? Cash, what's up, man?
Like an actual phone call.
We're actually all aware that Steven's here and he's clearly aware that we're on a podcast, so you can just you're a part of this as well.
I believe this is one step closer to your dream.
Two. What was that? What's the dream?
The dream is to sit around and talk shit all day.
That's
That's a pretty good dream.
Sounds the life of a financial planner. Right?
while while drinking some wine.
Interesting. That sounds like what he gets paid for to do right now, anyways. Yeah.
Cash, we were just discussing potential rookie of the year
Yeah, we-
candidates in the
Yeah,
NBA.
rookie of the year, bud.
We were talking Simmons.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, you think that you think it's Lonzo Ball too?
Yeah, for sure. I think this year is, if anything, it's probably the least consensus amongst everyone in the league. Like, you look at it, there's no consensus
think it's about 4 or 5. Yeah.
If you've already talked about the Steph Curry stat about how like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What's that?
Like the marketability of the individual. Like that's why I guess Lonzo would be a potential candidate because of his father.
But I think people are also fatigued of that and just kind of tired of that.
Yeah, people are kind of tired of that a little bit.
Like you kind of like, I wouldn't mind him to do well, but I don't think people are ready for it. I think they're going to give him like, they're going to put him in the doghouse for a couple years. You probably can't hear. They're going to put him in the doghouse for a couple years before we really allow us to reflect on what he's capable of. Because he is capable of a lot, but like his dad, at least for me, just turns me the fuck off.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm just
I
like, dude,
agree.
I'm like,
What, are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
It's your-
Yeah,
it's your
our
podcast.
sponsors allow swearing.
yeah.
Allowed.
what do you guys think about the work ethic? Like there've been concerns about his work ethic. Have you guys
Who's?
Lonzo's?
Lonzo's? That was an initial concern near the beginning of the season, but apparently he's really stepped up.
Well,
since
how do we know what his work ethic is?
Yeah,
Like,
just
what,
been
Word of
commentary on
mouth.
it.
Saying what was it?
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Pika's
What was
starting
it?
to sound like Alonso fanboy.
yeah, I
Oh,
know.
interesting, because I did kind of choose Lakers a little early for some
Yes.
fucking reason.
Yes.
Yeah,
Talk
so
about
That's the
Podcast.
only reason. When you have money on Lakers,
Yeah.
now you become a fan.
You go all in. You go all in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm going to put my money where Steven's money was that he removed, but it made sense financially. But yeah, I'm going to go with Simmons. I think Simmons is my choice for Rookie of the Year. I think he just plays at a caliber that doesn't remind me of a rookie.
Yeah.
I do so.
For all the people who don't know basketball out there, who does Simmons play for?
Philly,
76ers.
the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Process,
You have a
exactly.
computer right in front of you,
Yeah.
Jazz.
Yeah.
No, he's
It's
just,
not for me. It's for the listeners.
Oh, okay.
The listeners are good. Yeah, you're right. That's fair. I do think I think Simmons is actually, I think he's actually the unanimous choice. But I like Donovan Mitchell is continuing to make
I was
a
just
name.
gonna mention.
Donovan Mitchell's fucking crushing it, and I actually think he's like one other guy. I can't take credit for this comparison, but he's like Wade. He's like Wade in the sense of like he's just kind of all of a sudden shining, slashing, dunking on people, no fear, just doing a shit ton of like, just making a lot of noise. And his numbers have been, I think, almost on par. And he's been more impactful, it feels like, than Simmons, because Simmons still has Embiid to lean on. Where who's Donovan Mitchell have right now? He's got
A
Gobert.
42-year-old Nowitzki.
No, Donovan Mitchell's Utah.
Oh, sorry.
That
I
the
thought
other
it
guy, he's
was-
just a
we were
dunk.
talking about
He's
the,
he's the
what's his
equivalent
name?
of Steve.
Dennis Smith
Dennis Smith Jr. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Francis 2.0.
He's the last game was unreal.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, I can't believe that guy. He's gonna be in the dunk he might win the dunk competition, I'm sure.
We'll get into the dunk competition.
Yeah,
I think we got to
think he
do dunk competition. But I think
Well, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Cash. Oh, and Cash. Before you continue, make sure you mention what basketball event you'll be attending that you mentioned to me.
Oh, Detroit Pistons game.
So I got tickets. I'm going to be going to the OKC vs Pistons game mid-January, and then I'm going to see them all. I'm going to see Boston play Detroit in town as well. And apparently, I'm going to be in the tunnel giving high fives to the Celtics as they come through.
What?
How's
Oh,
that
wow.
happening?
Where's that connection?
Yeah, so I got a friend here.
Ooh, what kind of friend? What kind of friend?
Oh, that kind of friend.
No, but she's got some sort of ties to fundraisers and things of the sort
She won't listen to this.
for the local team. Say what?
She won't listen to this, so.
She what does she do?
No. Well, you never know, man. I have plans for this.
She has ties to the fundraising of some of the teams, or the Detroit team, the Pistons.
Say what? Say again?
What does she do?
No, she just. I guess somehow she's had ties to. You know how these teams all have their local fundraisers.
She slept with Drummond for sure.
I can't say that'd be the first time doing someone with someone in NBA.
Oh.
For those who couldn't hear, that was a yeah, baby. And if
They got these fundraisers, and apparently you go into the tunnel and you high five the NBA stars as they kind of go through the tunnel. So I think they bring a bunch of kids, and these kids give high fives or whatever.
So it'd be a bunch of kids and you.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids and you. You're gonna be the last guy standing there, 6'2".
I have a question. Are you going to dress like a kid?
what would that entail?
I'll carry the
Aww. Is that
That's
not?
why she likes you.
I know he's so quick.
That's
So,
why she
baby,
likes you.
if you're listening, you're the best he's ever had, okay? Just in advance.
But wait, that reminds me of Steve when he went to his Houston game, and the kid was in him.
Oh, Houston? The last one in Portland?
Portland game, yeah.
I thought he was gonna wear the beard.
You
You sent
Yeah,
us a
why
Snapchat
didn't
being
you
like,
wear the
guys,
beard?
Miranda doesn't know, but I'm gonna wear the beard, and then I
Yeah.
didn't see the beard.
Yeah.
You sat row 3 and you didn't wear the beard.
And I thought when I was messaging him,
The-
I actually saw him. I thought I saw him on screen with Miranda.
Who
Both had
dis-
beards on.
describe the other guy you saw?
I think there were two. Look, I
Okay, so
it's zoomed out. As you know, when you're watching a game, you obviously can't, if there's no close up of the crowd, everyone looks the same. And on top of that, we're talking Asians, so
Damn.
So 1 row in front of me, maybe 3 or 4 seats to the left. There was one Asian with glasses, maybe.
glasses.
He had glasses on too. Yeah, glasses, and he had a beard with his girlfriend, who was taller
Caucasian.
than her. She was Caucasian, redhead.
So she was a
had
type
a
of
beard,
Asian.
had a beard as well. And yeah, Pika thought he saw me and Miranda wearing beards
Yeah.
together.
Although I didn't. Okay, go ahead, Cash.
No, all I was gonna say, no what's crazy about that game is like, because obviously we all know Steve was like the biggest Rockets fan. He's been forever, like as long as I remember, even back in the days when we were still playing high school. It's so crazy because I think through his attachment to that sport, or to that team, like somehow like I vicariously like celebrate him when they win. It's crazy. So like. When he went to that game, it was almost like when his dream fucking came true of like being so close to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like during the school year, I had very little time to watch games, and so most of my like keeping up with the sport is through highlights and watching, like condensed versions of the game online and stuff.
Yeah.
But that that game, knowing that Steve was there, I literally put everything on pause and actually like streamed that game and watched the whole thing.
Aw.
So it's like.
Did you actually see me then?
Sorry, answer the question.
What do you think?
Did you actually see me? Because you could actually see me on the
I did see. I did eventually find Steven.
So Pika messaged me at halftime. He's like, "Yeah, I can actually see you when the Rockets are shooting on the like in the first half." So obviously it was when Portland was shooting on the second half. And I'm like, "Oh, perfect. Now that I know you could see me, I'm gonna react a little bit more every single time there's a basket." So I started reacting a bit more.
Yeah, that was like I had front row seats to a Canucks game about a month and a half ago, and every time I scored, I'm like, look, I told a decent amount of people that I'm gonna be at this game, so anytime anything happened, I'm just banging on the glass, hoping someone sees me.
Yeah.
Is it better to be at the bottom than it is at the top? Like, what do you prefer?
Viewing the game, you want to be a bit higher up so you can kind of see what's going on. But I mean, for an experience of like seeing how close you are to these guys, them getting hit into the glass and seeing how fast it is, it's way cooler to be right there because they.
If you ever get a chance to do
so
it,
fast.
you got to do it once at least.
Oh, it's incredible.
But
Yeah, it's
yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. But viewing the game, it's not as good because you can't see down the ice.
No,
it's an it's an experience.
and it's an experience. But if you're a fan of the game, there'll be better seats for you to get a season's tickets to. Example.
If it's a playoff game, you're going upper bowl, middle. Like you need to see nice.
Hey, bravo.
You need to see the play develop actually. But I don't want to get into hockey just yet.
Speaking of play developing, a word from our sponsors, Carnivore,
Oh,
a perfect wine for 3 p.m. on a
Very
Saturday.
generous.
Say well.
It's delicious, apparently.
Okay, so we're on to Houston. We talked about Houston, Golden State. Obviously, Houston's clear on their intent to not idolize Golden State, but really look to Golden State as like, okay, that's the mark. Like that's who we need to beat, and that's fair. And they're open about it. And this is actually why I love Daryl Morey. He's just like, hey, I'm clear on my intent. My intent's to beat the team that everyone's trying to beat. Everyone's trying to beat them, but I'm saying it. So now, Golden State's been in this like crazy heyday right now.
Incredible.
For the last few years. It's been ridiculous. They got the records, championships, whatever. What's it going to take to break them? Like, eventually they're going to go. No dynasty lasts more than, 5 years max? Right. What's it going to take? They're quite selfless. KD took a pay cut. That's fine. Kerr's quite, his back seeming to do okay. I don't see what would actually turn this.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you saw in the offseason. It's going to be a consolidation of stars. A lot of crazy trades. And just an accumulation of a lot of A-listers out there, really. Top tier players. I mean, you saw it in the offseason, right? So I think JR kind of commented it on as well, right? Like that he's never seen anything like this before where there was just so much movement happening. And
So you think other teams are going to replicate it? Someone's going to do it better?
that's what you kind of saw happening.
It's like OKC. What
yeah,
OKC did.
If anything, there was so many rumors of even LeBron leaving the Cavs, and I almost am hesitant about that now, given how many stars are on the Cavs now. I mean,
And how bad the Lakers are.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Well.
Golden State's future too. Like, I'm just gonna bring up contracts really quick, right? So 2018, 2019, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson are both restricted free agents, or unrestricted free agents. Steph Curry is making
how much?
37 million in 2018-19. Durant's making 26 million. So Steph Curry's saying they're making 11 million more. You have Klay Thompson making 18 million. I'm thinking Klay Thompson potentially wants to get paid.
He's gonna be the one that goes,
right? I could see him going. Durant, I think, wants to get paid. Curry's locked up till 21, 22, making a $45 million salary. So I'm seeing some contract. I mean, we got this year. We maybe got next year. And then what's the future there?
Yeah. So you're saying it's Green and Thompson who have the contracts?
Durant and Thompson are their contracts are done after 2018, 2019.
KD already took a pay cut.
Yeah, they've been pretty vocal about saying that they're willing to keep the core together to continue winning. And I think that's the only time that this has ever happened in basketball, at least to my knowledge.
But of course they're going to say that now, I think. Like, when it's going well,
keep the dynamic
but then
rolling.
when it comes to money, there's going to be a situation, or there's going to be a time when money's going to be a factor, for sure.
Okay, so who's going to be?
Or not even money.
But who's it going to be?
Well, I don't know, but if you even relate it to the Kyrie situation, Kyrie he was playing with the best player in the world, best player maybe potentially ever to play this game, and he leaves him just because he wants to do his own thing, because he's won a couple rings, or
one ring.
Yeah, one ring.
That ring felt like three, but like it was one.
He won one ring. Now he wants to go do his own thing. So maybe Draymond wants to do that. Maybe Klay wants to do that. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think Klay would do that. I think Draymond's value on that team is a triple-double without points. 10 points, 10... Nice, I love that. 10 points, 10 steals, 10 blocks, 10 boards. Like, Draymond can be effective without that. And he knows he's not that guy who's going to take the team over. So I don't think it's him. Klay being Klay, like, I think he's happy to just coast and chill. If anyone, it's going to be KD eventually succumbing to the pressure of being like, yo, KD, like, you're nothing in Golden State, da-da-da-da. Maybe one day, finally, he'd be like, actually, I do care what you guys say, and I'm going to go win a title elsewhere. That might be it. But I do have a theory on contracts why, like, part of the reason I love Golden State is the whole venture cap, like, the way Silicon Valley's trended the same way, like Golden State kind of almost went hand in hand. Yeah. And they've got their owners are VC backed. They're VC backed. Obviously, that whole climate, everyone in the stands are all fucking VCs. It's got to be very likely that the owner goes to his VC pals and says, anytime you get in on the next raise, and you got your network, you got the next solid 4 or 5 companies that you're going to go in on. Yeah. Give me access. Give my players access to like the next 5 deals.
I'm going to mention one soundbite about that. I was watching an interview of Chamath. He was like one of the venture capitalists who started Facebook, and he owns part of the Golden State Warriors. He works out with David Lee, and David Lee is arguably probably one of the richest NBA players because Chamath gives him insider knowledge about investing into other companies that he's part of the VC fund. Yeah, like he contributes to the fund actually itself. So probably why Kobe went down that route as well. He's obviously surrounded by that world and whatnot. So
and the way these guys are like owned, it's like you got a couple.
They got so much money.
You got a couple of VCs who are like the key owners. Then they bring in strategic investors or entrepreneurs into the ownership to add value to that team, and you can clearly see that they're running the team like that. Again, this is why I love the fucking Golden State Warriors, because on a business level they've crushed it.
But you hate the fans. No one fucking cheered when we went to the finals.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but those are all like ghost fans, right? They're all just people who got tickets. But like, so I think I don't even think this is against the rules where you just say like the owners, I don't know whatever his name is, he just says, it tells the teams like, hey, when it comes to compensation over the next few years, don't worry. We obviously and clearly have a network. We will keep you guys in the loop with all these next rounds that we raise. It'll take 10 years for the fund to turn over. The track record of that fund is 25% a year or 25% IR, whatever. Yeah. And so now these guys can say like, oh wow, look, David Lee is now maybe top 5 richest players in the league. I don't know, because of this strategy.
Does he even play anymore?
No. Why would he have to?
Okay.
No. Right. Exactly that too.
So like I'm thinking
for
maybe
the love of the game.
Exactly.
There might be this intangible kind of like benefit of Golden State that might make money a non-factor. either.
Or
So
I mean, if you're saying that, then what is it? Maybe last 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, maybe.
So- so
like, what if they continues like, yeah, well,
So what is the demand? So like I actually don't. I think contracts they'll figure it out.
One question I have too is, let's say LeBron leaves the league, right? Let's say he retires.
What?
Does that change?
Europe?
Does that? Yeah. Does that? But I'm saying like
Lithuania?
certain players leaving the league or retiring in Lithuania. Is that going to change the demand for super teams? Like, why did Golden State happen? Well, so they could beat
LeBron.
beat LeBron.
I definitely disagree.
Or do you think we are now in an age where the best players will just come play on teams because they just want to win a championship? Or do you think the dynamic of the NBA might change as really good players? Let's say LeBron doesn't leave the league. Let's just say he turns into, like gets an injury and he doesn't play as well and he's now a 18 or 20 point player. Does Golden State need to have these 3 stars?
They don't need
But
to have them, but
Didn't they
they're still-
draft them?
Yeah.
They drafted
except
Klay
for everyone,
Thompson.
yeah.
Except for
everyone.
KD.
And
So
Curry,
KD is the
except
most
for KD,
recent,
yeah.
but they were challenging LeBron prior to that.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't know
clearly.
if you could blame that on Golden State. It's like,
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I love them. They're actually a drafted team.
Yeah.
They had actually
Yeah.
relative unknowns. Like Draymond Green was what, like second round pick, or is he 30th
Yeah.
or second round?
So they draft Steph
second
Curry?
round?
yeah,
Yeah.
they
Steph
drafted
Curry with
Curry
the
and,
shot.
and
What?
Thompson. So they didn't build that. If anyone's building super teams, it's LeBron, Wade, and Bosh doing the Miami thing,
Which was before, yeah.
which was prior to that anyways.
I'm thinking more like the fact that Durant almost beat them in the Western Conference Finals with OKC, lost, and then
And
went and
jumped
played
ship.
with them.
But-
But like that's what I mean by like the fact that why'd you go there? Why did Golden State want you to make sure
Yeah,
they could beat
'cause-
LeBron?
and they had just lost him, which is fair because Draymond called him right in the car right away. But just quick point on KD, him leaving Westbrook is clearly the right move because we can see what's happening to everyone else who leaves Westbrook and how Westbrook's actually more of a fucking cancer. Not a
Hey,
cancer, not a
they've been
cancer.
playing- They've been playing decent recently.
Because they all said we're gonna sacrifice our game completely
In the last
to, like,
2
For him,
weeks.
for him,
Yeah,
yeah.
so Paul George, who I don't think too highly of, anyways, but like he's still like,
Wow, why?
Why? Yeah.
he just doesn't seem to have like he's solid, but like he has a
But do you think
ceiling.
he's just gotten bad deal of cards? Like, I mean,
I don't know. I
bad
read a
seasons
very
he was on,
interesting
that's
stat
really
on
hard.
Injury?
He's
Paul George.
competing. You have to.
Yeah, he broke
a
his
few years
foot.
ago, he was competing with LeBron
Yeah,
for the
and
East.
His free throw
Yeah, so-
percent, his shooting percentage, and his 3-point percentage, I think, are all the exact same currently right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait,
How old is he?
or is
At
his
like
3-point?
46. Yeah,
Oh,
at 46%.
Call him
I
28.
think his free throw.
I'm calling
shooting
28.
Free
percent.
throw too.
Yeah,
26?
yeah,
Free
all,
throw.
all 3 of
I
those.
call 28.
believe.
Whoa.
I read that on Reddit NBA. Yeah,
Either,
Mark,
so
can you
I actually
double
do
check that?
think
That's like a good thing for the 3-point and then bad for the free throw.
I think the demise will just be Steph Curry's ankle. Something will have to surface again.
Ooh.
There's just gonna be there's gonna be someone's
know,
injury that's gonna like
I
and
never,
Curry is the
never want to wish on an injury. I never want to wish on an injury.
so don't do it.
But
That
that-
period.
So do you genuinely not like? So I know you guys obviously Cleveland, LeBron, oh no, LeBron fans, not
Yeah.
Cleveland fans,
Yeah, yeah,
different
yeah.
things.
LeBron fans.
And
And Kyrie fans.
yeah.
So basically,
So,
Jacob
but-
likes the Lakers, the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland
like-
Cavaliers.
So technically, I actually like players individually because
That's everybody.
What's
That's
the
every.
excuse you say? Like
No.
if your hometown does not have a team, you're allowed this luxury.
Mm.
Well, yeah.
to
So,
have a
well,
team.
the
I like
NBA,
individual players.
but the NBA is like the fandoms you follow players.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it is.
Yeah, well,
He's
you're a
got.
Toronto fan, though.
Yeah, but like I am from Toronto,
Yeah.
and I always love Canada anything, and like
Yeah.
I want Canada to have basketball. So like yeah, Toronto, but like
Sure.
he's got Houston. He's anchored to Houston from
Yeah,
T-Mac, so he followed the player there, but then he's
Right.
stuck.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it happens where sometimes we'll go to other players
Sure.
and follow them around, but then whatever. But
I-
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe branching up to that part. Like, to be honest, the reason why I did that is because it's way more fun to like follow a team rather than players. If you
Yeah.
jump around, like you have more
Definitely.
emotion to the team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but it's different too. Like you enjoy watching a player play. And
Of
you,
course.
like, respect
No,
that
and
way of
yeah.
playing. But then like teams change so often, right? Like the Vancouver Canucks,
Yeah.
they're not the team I used to love.
Yeah, but
Like, they're
but that's the
completely
thing.
new.
You go through the ups and the
The
downs
ups and
of
downs,
that
because you
team. So
can't appreciate the ups
in
without the downs.
3 years, the Canucks are going to be back in the Stanley Cup
Exactly.
Finals, and then you'll be like, I followed them through the.
Exactly.
Sounds like ignorance is bliss. Do you know what I mean?
But-
like if
but
you're
ups
like,
and downs.
if,
not okay, obviously not 3 years,
but you've bought into like the team,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, what if you don't like what the team's doing? What if you don't respect the coach or respect the owners anymore? Do you know what I mean? I felt like the love of a
That's
franchise.
the emotion that's
I
why
love-
you go through these emotions. You have to go through the down emotions where you hate the coach or you hate this person
I
or
think
whoever you hate.
realigning to new teams,
Yeah.
it shows like a bit of an interest in it. But there's a few teams where I'm just like, I'm gonna fucking love those guys for life.
Exactly.
But like, it's a little irrational.
Doesn't it like always stem from like it always starts with individuals. Like
Mm.
people, yeah, you long time we've been choose the bad
that's kind of how I got into well, that's around the time that I got into basketball. That's why I think. So I mean, and again, Vancouver doesn't have a team. Otherwise, it probably would have been.
No, I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
no, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good point, Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. It's true, and that's what Embiid. Quick point on that. Embiid actually, what do you say? One of the ESPN writers, this on a different podcast, one of our competitor podcasts, Zach Lowe's podcast. He interviewed like Rachel Nichols or something, who was in a car with Embiid for 2 hours going from like airport to something else, and Embiid, they're talking about Embiid's like self-awareness of the hype cycle in the NBA, and how Embiid's like. It's like right now I'm enjoying every minute of it because me, Ben, and Markelle Fultz fake injury are all we're all
Shots fired again.
it's like we're right now they are that team that the NBA is pushing and happy for because they just got the Christmas Day and like everyone's quite happy with them, but Embiid's like at one point they're gonna turn on us, and so I need to enjoy this ride until they actually turn on us.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna enjoy the ride till they turn us. Like so, going back to what Cash said is like it will happen that way, and like so they'll pump a few teams at you, and that'll get the fringe fans in. Then all us fans who really like the sport, you'll find players because like players are so like, you should add them to that now.
Yeah, we probably should. Actually, just out of curiosity, Stephen, were you a T-Mac fan before the 13 points in 30 seconds event? That one of the greatest events in sports history, I might add.
I was always a T-Mac fan.
But were you a fan before that?
Like I really got into basketball probably grade 10, 11, 12 around then. So I don't know what year is that. That's grade. That was 2004.
2006. Yeah,
2004,
2004.
2004. That was when I like really got into basketball. Like I
13,
watched
14
it a little bit.
How depressing is that?
I
Sound?
know.
Not at all. The best years are yet to come.
I missed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yao Ming.
Admit that it was
Everyone
him.
always says that.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
Yao Ming was probably one of the best centers. If you
During that era, yeah.
yeah. If you stayed healthy, can you
Yeah.
imagine what he could have done?
Yeah, I actually think Embiid's going down that path. I think Embiid's
Yeah.
following the Yao Ming path where he's gonna.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
he's
so
no.
too.
I like
All those guys are the future, right?
no, but like I'm just saying like
You
so
know, in
like
terms of games played,
there's
always
the
getting injured.
unicorns who are like actually can gallop, and then there's the unicorn that'll hobble, and he's that hobbling one who's just he will amaze us, but like I again don't wish injuries on anyone, but when you
Yeah.
watch him play and he starts to fall, you're like, dude, that guy can't control his fall.
No.
Like he can't
Yeah.
control anything on his way down.
There's very few bigs that have had long,
Career.
successful careers. Like I mean, Tim Duncan, initial one I can think of. Shaq
Shaq.
Yeah,
played
yeah.
played a pretty long carear, but like other than that, like most of the guys
Does
are.
Nowitzki count as a big?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like a well structured big. Do you know what I mean? Like Nowitzki moved like a regular
was
size.
fluid.
Yeah, he was fluid.
That's why he was the original.
The stretch four.
Stretch four,
He
yeah.
stretched the floor originally.
Yeah.
It's also funny, like Score Mobile or whatever, the NBA media always pushes these like, snippet lines of Dirk saying like, Markkanen's actually got quite a good game. He's got crazy upside. Same thing with like Kristaps. So it's like they go to Dirk for any token white power forward who's got a 3 or a J. They go to Dirk for like advice, like is he good or no? And then Dirk's got to give the 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, those bigs are going to be like your Giannis's of the world, your Porzingis's of the world. Like that's the future of the NBA.
Yeah, they're different kind of bigs though. They're just
those are
like
your unicorns, right? Because they can shoot threes. They can be the
yeah, they're the modern like they're the bigs that growing up weren't practicing dunking. They were like born in the like shooting era of the NBA,
Davis was a point guard.
right? And they're just like they just love to
Anthony?
shoot. Yeah, they can dunk, but it's like they'd rather pop a 3.
Yeah.
Except for Giannis, see that guy loves to dunk.
Yeah, Giannis
I don't think
is-
he just can't shoot. That's why.
His shots are not that pretty, yeah.
No.
Question for Steve-O. Is the unicorn, like this whole unicorn tag, is that Bill?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I think that is his article, right? I think that's his article.
Was it?
That I think so. Like, cause
For
he,
the listeners out there, it's
Makes
Bill Simmons, my idol.
Idle Wilson.
He's calling in later, I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I would.
Would you lose it?
My life would be over.
Oh, really?
That's-
'Cause guess what?
mean,
We're tuning him in. All right.
To clarify, he's our competitor.
Yeah. Is he?
No.
Oh fuck.
Well, speaking of unicorns, our next segment will be brought to you by Impact Imaging.
Oh, who are they?
Bro.
Who are they? Edge? Who are they?
They
Jazz?
offer high quality printing and design.
Really?
Yes.
Do you print posters like when you posterize somebody?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Anything you want.
What other services do you guys provide?
Graphic design, some custom fabrication, custom acrylic work.
Can you just give us like a little bit of printer porn? Like, just tell me about the printers you guys use. Like, give me a few little bits.
Well, recently we bought an Epson 8600. It's a brand new printer with 10 inks, I believe, and 2 print heads.
Ooh,
2 print heads.
2 print heads.
I
Wow.
don't know what that means, but turns
There's
Well, dude, there's 2. You don't need to know what it is. There's 2
all,
of them. There's
all
not
you
one.
need to know is there's 2 print heads with very viscous ink. Cash.
The printing needs.
And, what offer are you offering to our listeners right now? Or is there a 5% discount? Maybe a 10% discount?
They can call me and find out.
so how do we contact you?
Yeah, how do we contact you, Jazz?
555.
I'll let you know.
Do you have a phone number for your business and or email and or something contact?
I do, but I don't know what the distribution rights are on this at the moment.
For God's sakes, mention your phone number right now.
778-999-4313.
Fantastic. Can you just contact Jazz at what he just said and get your printing needs?
Open after 8 p.m. and weekends only, so please call weekends and after 8 p.m.
So we're going to segue now to a little Black Mirror discussion because I know we definitely got to start talking about that a little bit. Don't know if you've been watching Cash because you've been studying your life away right now. But
Life away.
actually, I'm kind of curious right now. What do you yeah, no, of course. Actually, why don't you give us a little?
Yeah, tell the listeners
Yeah.
what you're up to right
yeah,
now.
why don't you tell the listeners up to you and how wonderful med school is going? And should I become a doctor?
Highly don't recommend it.
Honestly, man, like it's crazy how, like, aside from the fact of how fast time's flying, I think like because the first 2 years of med school are very different than the third and fourth year. Like, distinctly different. Your first 2 years are spent mostly in a classroom setting. It's much like undergrad, very classic type of teaching, with labs. Third year, it's like we're entering the workforce.
It's like Scrubs.
You're literally feel like an employee of the hospital. But you're an employee that knows nothing and doesn't go through a training process prior to being thrown in that environment, which is unlike most. I mean, obviously most fields there's a lot of on-site learning that happens, but most, especially the corporations, most of the time, you have some sort of form of training prior to being put in that place. Whereas with med school, the training that you go through your first 2 years is nothing, absolutely nothing like what you actually have to experience in the clinic. In the clinic is the practical shit, and in the classroom it's the foundational shit.
Right.
So it's a completely different experience. It's a completely different type of learning. So it keeps you excited. It keeps you motivated. But that being said, the hours are insane. Imran and I were talking about this the other day. How the hours go from we started out with 10 hours a day, and that's all went wrong. It slowly pick it up a notch, and now like there are days where we might have 15-hour days at the hospital, but a 12-hour day is like you give your buddy a high five and walk out. Yeah, that was insane.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm up to, like 12-hour days, and then on top of that, I'm trying to get into a very specific specialty that's very competitive. So I have to do research on top of that. So my weekends are spent basically writing science papers and trying to network and find out what hospitals I can go to interview.
God damn. And he has time to do a podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't stepped up yet, like, here's your example right here.
It's my boys, man. It's my boys.
Cash, I imagine you haven't had time to watch any Black Mirror.
Honestly, it's so tough. You know what it is?
Yeah.
And I was about to start an episode, and then I was very concerned that I would get addicted and that it would occupy.
Remember, I told you there's very few episodes in the seasons.
How many others?
There's like 3
6,
episodes
right?
on the first season.
Yeah,
6
season 1, 2
episodes.
have 3 each.
They're not like 20 episode seasons, so it's easy to get through and pretty quick to get through.
3 in the first season.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the type of series is called. If someone wants to Google that, they can let me know. But no episode is the same, and they're all individual 1-hour stories.
Yeah, so you
watch
can start
anything you
anywhere,
want.
yeah.
You can start anywhere you want.
Did you ever hear the?
Yeah, everything is different.
So you don't get addicted. That's the thing. You get addicted because you want to watch the
Yeah,
next
it's a-
episode. But
You break
in
it.
terms of like
Binging.
yeah, binging, you don't need to. It's not like it ends with a what do you call it? Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger?
It doesn't end with a
Yeah.
cliffhanger, and then you have to watch the next one.
Yeah, the type of television is
What is it?
anthology television series where each
Anthology.
episode is a new
yes.
story.
Oh yeah, I would've known that.
British science fiction.
Did you?
Yeah.
You mouthed it to me then.
Yeah, and Cash, you know what? I haven't watched season 4 myself. I've watched the first 2 seasons and about halfway through the 3rd season. I'm excited about the 4th season. Honestly, I haven't heard the best reviews. I heard the 3rd season was better than 4th, but I haven't watched 4th. So I'd be happy to hear without spoilers. I would appreciate.
This sounds like Bright all over
No,
again.
I'll try to minimize. the
It's hard to
spoiler.
not
It's
like
hard not
it's
to.
hard to spoil in Black Mirror. Like
Then-
how do you spoil the?
Then
Yeah.
spoil
It's just
away.
we're just gonna talk about the topics
We just
and
talk-
the.
we talk about topics. Did you watch? So you watched? Mark, you said you watched. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You guys just said that it's anthology and there's no like. So how could there be spoilers?
Yeah.
Well, there's spoilers in the individual episode,
Right. But I would say that
but it's one episode, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
yeah.
but we're-
And a general theme of the 4th season, I would say, is more of it explores the White Christmas episode. If you guys watch that, the John Hamm episode where he basically manipulates consciousnesses.
Mike.
What's that?
Mike.
You can't hear me at all.
No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
Yo,
sorry.
as
Well,
soon as
you
you,
don't-
I know you see it there,
Yeah.
but as soon as you turn, it
Uh-huh.
fades completely.
Alright,
out.
we'll cut this part out.
You listen.
Yeah.
This doesn't do anything, Jazz.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So the manipulation of consciousness, so I'd say, would be the theme of the 4th season, and us basically making copies of our consciousness for our own needs. So in the White Christmas episode, they use it for a Google Home product. So essentially, what you would do is you would copy your consciousness and put it in your home product because no one knows you better than you. You know what music you like. You know what
Yeah.
what is the temperature you want in your own room. So as soon as you walk into your place, you have your own consciousness. Making a coffee at a particular time of the day.
Is it connected to your current consciousness? Because
No.
let's say
No.
It's
Because like
Duplicate.
They put it in this
Duplicate.
device.
Okay,
You
but
haven't
it's
seen
not
it?
it's
Have you
not receiving like constant uploads.
No.
Because I'm walking in, it's like, hey, like I just had to walk. I'm really warm. I want it slightly cooler. It doesn't
No.
know that.
No.
So the way it works is like, let's say right now it's January 6th, 3:49 p.m. right Pacific time. If we all got our consciousness uploaded or copied, it would be like at this point in time, everything we've experienced is what's copied. So now, and this was explored more in season 4, where it's just kind of like, so now you are now AI, but your AI, the version of AI you have is only up to this point in time.
Yeah.
So anything we experience from this last second, this next sip of wine, anything, that's not part of it.
Right.
So it's only you at that point. So that version of you, which is stopped, and that's like, that's it. That's
has
all
its
you're
own
gonna,
experiences moving forward.
and that's where the I think that's one of the themes that they explore, and is like with artificial intelligence, like
You talk about hanging with DJ. Talk about hanging with DJ.
yeah, with artificial intelligence, it's like how much do you actually like what does AI actually feel, and like how conscious is AI of itself? Because in like in the White Christmas episode, we see the AI in that one, who's also the same girl from the Callister one. She's a Callister one. I also think she's the How I Met Your Mother girl.
She is.
the
Yeah.
mom, like the
Yeah.
the
The
mom.
last
Yeah.
episode. Or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she's
she's
got
all-
like nice
By the
deep
way, what a
eyes.
disappointing mother, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
that whole that whole.
She was
She's cute.
I was not
She's like-
disappointed.
for sure cute.
I was not disappointed.
Yeah, I wasn't.
It's
I was-
It's Ted Mosby. Like he wasn't gonna pull an A-star New York model.
Remember the British chick though?
But I was more upset with the way.
Remember her?
But the whole story wasn't about the mother. It wasn't about the mom. It was about kids. I want to go after 40-year-old Robin.
Yeah.
Right? One question though, if you upload your consciousness, the one fear that I would have is like I've uploaded it, as you said, 3:49 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Can it now make revelations about your previous consciousness? Like, is it making its own thoughts about like, hey, that day I was hanging out with this person, blah blah, blah, like that I'm not thinking about. So when I come back and interact with it, is it now different than at 3:59?
So because it is data, really it is based on the algorithm of the software that data of your consciousness is attached to. So if it doesn't have access to the internet, for example, or it isn't attached to a particular hardware that allows that processing capability to do or process a bunch of information all at a very high speed, then no. And so in this new season, for example, they use your consciousness to make a copy of it to see how you would react in a simulation to determine whether or not to find your perfect match of your partner in life. So it's Tinder essentially in this new a modern Tinder essentially. And what it does is it basically takes your copy of you a copy of your consciousness essentially and another individual and test to see if they're the right match for you and place you through a few scenarios to see is that mine? No, it's not mine. It's Mark's. To see how if you guys are a proper match for each other.
Interesting.
That one was wild.
And that one was wild.
I like that.
So for the individuals who did watch it, I just want to ask one thing about that. And you saw the White Christmas one, so it kind of applies to this.
Yeah.
Is it ethical for us to do that? Is it ethical for us to use our consciousness temporarily for our own personal gain? We'll kill it off, but it is like you saw how it reacted, right? It's how would we react? It's all digital code at the end of the day. But it is us.
I think it's in that same. I don't want to go down the path at all, but it's in the same. It's in the same like abortion area where it's kind of like, hey, it's under your control. It's like, is that living or not? Like,
but it's not. It's a living life.
But how do you know if it's self-aware? It's self-aware.
Okay,
but
so
it's self. It's not. It's not.
And that's what you got to determine, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that's what pro-choice individuals.
Yeah. So
sort of do, right?
we won't go down that way.
No,
but I see parallels in those two conversations, and it's like with AI, the difference and what makes it more acceptable is that that's technically it's like yourself, right? Like it's like this is a different version of me. Like, am I willing to put me in an alternate universe and bizarre world through that experience where you realize I got nothing to do except for turn on the lights and brew coffee automatically. So then I think it changes it and gives you a bit more control over that decision and saying like, would I put myself Imran Jiwa like stamped at that point in time through that experience versus someone else? Like you're not.
And I would say no.
Ooh. Just like that.
You would say sorry.
So would you do that White Christmas episode?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about that one, even though we're not.
Yeah, let's talk about that one specifically because I think we've all seen that one.
Yeah.
So I would say like you saw yourself how you would react if I turn off the lights for 6 months. And okay, so you just had an emotional reaction to that a little, and it's just code. Because it's just code. You just determined it as a sort of like a pro-choice thing. Yeah. But like it is code. But you saw it react how you would react if you were placed in a jail cell.
Yeah.
In isolation in the darkness for 6 months, and that would be the accurate depiction of how you would react in that moment. So that's why I guess that's sort of the question that the whole episode is trying to get people to ask is this ethical to do us to do this type of stuff?
I think there's a couple. I think there's two things. The first one is like, is AI actually going to be self-aware to that level?
Well, that's a theory. So eventually we will get down that road. Assuming time is infinite, we don't kill ourselves. Trump doesn't actually kill us all.
Yeah, he's not going to.
And we sort of move to the point where we have technology that can do all these types of things. Assuming time is infinite and we don't kill ourselves, then we'll get there eventually. Let's just assume that's the case. Yeah. Let's ask ourselves a question: is it okay for us to do that? And then we're going to have.
So essentially, I don't think we would need to do it in that case.
We wouldn't.
Because the technology would be different by the time we reach that point. You're looking at us being forcibly. Like, we have to trap a version of ourselves on a chip or something, insert it into something, and then it's trapped there forever.
That's a very good point.
But why does it have to
feel?
Why does it not even feel? Because who knows if it can feel, but why do we have to use those inputs?
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. It's kind of like the same debate when we had to convert from horses to cars. Like we didn't have to necessarily make a mechanical horse. We just made a better way to transport. But there were a lot of complaints, for example, when we invented the car. For example, this is the funny thing I just heard the other day was when we invented the car, people were complaining that if I'm really drunk, my horse normally takes me home. I can get out of the bar, my horse knows how to go home. But a car couldn't obviously do that. Well,
Oh,
now
wow.
it can if we invent self-driving cars. That's 100 years later. But
No.
yeah, we can just improve these technologies a lot better and make them completely different. We don't have to make a mechanical horse. So that's a good point.
Yeah. So it may not be the version we're seeing.
Yeah.
it may
Yeah.
not be the
I,
version
I,
you're thinking
I
of,
have
yeah.
one general question about Black Mirror. I feel like every episode is trying to like get society or get a certain group of people to realize something.
Yeah.
Right? And it's trying to like, hey, remember this. Like, aren't you scared about this? Do you think it's actually having an impact on how we're thinking today? Like, do you think people are actually like, we should save the bees because we definitely don't want electronic bees flying around?
purpose.
Like, but it's the purpose, but like, or do you think we're just being mindless and watching entertainment? Or do you like,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're sitting here
I-
talking about ethical reasons. That's cool. But like, do you think
Yeah.
it's actually having an impact?
It's a good point. I mean, I certainly think the majority is certainly not, and taking it as entertainment because I mean it's on Netflix and we love to binge things on that and whatnot, and we love escapism, of course. But I'm sure it inspires some individuals that are in the field that are in a place to actually make an impact, or it may inspire others to maybe start a podcast and start talking about it. Who knows?
I don't know. I feel like it's solely entertainment based, and if you look at like movies and you see them shoot at a car and a car explodes, that would never happen if you shoot at a car or there's a fire. Cars don't explode, and that's a known thing. But a lot of people don't know that because they see it in movies. And I think much like Black Mirror, it's just people commenting on society from the outside who have nothing to do with any of those fields, and they're just like, oh, this could happen, but they don't really know the ins and outs of it or anything like that. And it's just a lot more entertainment.
I think it's obviously gonna it'll bear some weight, and it might. I think we're all actually quite aware of like the fears of technology and what the negative paths that we could go down. But Black Mirror shows us those versions of the way I see Black Mirror is like, okay, we got a point in time, which is now. Then Black Mirror, each episode, well, most of the episodes except for the season finale of season 4, are all down their own unique timelines, which are just like if civilization allows certain technologies or individuals allow certain technologies to go unchecked, what would our society look like in the future? So like it was there's the one that was essentially to me, it was just Instagram where it's like, oh, after this, the one where you just rate each other 5 stars.
yeah.
So that's kind of like saying Instagram going to the next level. Saying like,
China.
yeah, that's I've heard. So like,
China around, yeah.
so I think Black Mirror is just showing
It's
us.
a ranking system because there's a mass population in China and India. So for companies or just even individuals for like personal services,
Yeah.
like nannies and stuff like that, like they want to create sort of like a ubiquitous ranking system to determine people's skill sets and whatnot.
And value. And
Terrible
Terrible
idea.
idea because we're treating like individuals and we're all snowflakes. But at the same time, how do you maintain, I guess, like how do you maintain, like how do you manage such a mass population without having some sort of like structure, some sort of template so people will abide by, right? Like that's what laws are for. That's what society can function with some type of rules and whatnot. But that's maybe passing a certain threshold.
So China wasn't functioning before that was introduced?
They, of course, were. I mean, 40 years ago, I mean, you took 1 billion people out of poverty, right, in a very short period of time. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's certainly a question we got to ask ourselves.
Well, going back to the episode, like that, it's just like the next level of like you said, Instagram or whatever, liking and everything. Because right now, even when we go to a new city, and you go onto Google and you want to go eat somewhere. What do? You go look at the amount of stars
Google?
they have.
Yeah.
You go to whatever Yelp and find out what's the best rating.
Blogs with
And
the
then you
best
go-
reviews, whatever.
Yeah,
it might be.
blogs, reviews, and then that's where you go, right? That's where you go eat. That's where you go drink.
Totally.
It's pretty much the same, and that's what they were kind of leaning towards. In
Yeah.
terms of that
It's a good point. It's like we currently use it
It's just
for
not in
commercial
that, like-
needs. We're not using it as a
Yeah.
personal needs.
Yeah, yeah,
But like,
yeah, yeah.
it's a really good point. Like we could easily make that jump, and all of a sudden we're
Yeah.
using that ranking system.
They had that before, didn't they?
What's that?
This like ranking thing
For?
for people.
For
Wasn't it a dating app or something?
Well, yeah. What if Tinder showed you this person's
No,
been
they-
how many
swiped
swipe
right
left, how many swipes
400
right?
times, and you're like, I want to swipe right on this person,
No,
or
I
are you
remem-
like, I don't have a chance with that person, so you swipe left?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember Isa talking to me about this, and they had a
Sorry,
thing
who's
where
Isa Jess?
She's a friend of the podcast.
she's a friend of the podcast.
Okay.
Come to the cake.
And they there was an app. It was either an app or a website a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
where you could, like, I guess rank people, or rate people, and
Yeah.
see what other people thought of certain
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, I think Yeah, it's and that's a great reaction, Cash.
Cash
because-
just said that's fucked.
Yeah, I think the issue there is is the importance of the template, because as you saw in that episode, exactly, like people started manipulating it. Remember that when she went to the wedding and she was like, "Oh well, the only reason why you're coming to this wedding is to get a better rank, better star ranking from."
Said that she would make the best
Right.
review.
Exactly.
She's like bringing an old childhood friend.
Exactly. So you have a little bit of sensationalism happening where people are just kind of putting a front up of who they're not even real as who they actually are as a person. So there's certainly flaws before it's perfected, but I guess that's why they put the episodes out, to obviously fix those type of things and ask those questions. But how you guys doing right now? You guys want to take a break at all? Because we can take a break and then we can move on to this.
We're talking maybe one more topic.
One more topic?
We're talking
Are we-
entertainment right now. Right?
Yeah, let's
We're
stay
talking
on
entertainment.
Yeah,
I
sure,
think
sure.
we should bring in the Justin Timberlake.
Yeah?
Oh, let's play the song.
Yeah. You want it? Yeah,
well,
we can do it. Right?
Well,
I can
since
pull
we're
the-
talking about technology, I
Sure.
think this actually, I was reading a fan theory.
Uh-huh.
Have you guys seen the video yet?
We are going to pull it up
I've
right
seen
now.
I've seen the making of.
Woo!
Okay, so
That's
that
a fan right there.
I
Of
don't
what?
I don't
Of
know
what?
how
The
that
video of
Justin
what?
Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake music
Oh,
video.
oh, is it technology based?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it-
totally,
it-
100%.
It is technology based, but
Didn't
if
he
you
do
look
this-
at his album art, it's Pika. Can you also get his album art up before
I'm gonna pull
this
the
really
video
quick?
right now.
Can the viewers
And by
see
way,
the
it
video or
says,
no?
the viewers will be able to see the video in the after in the post processing, but we're just gonna watch the video up here for ourselves.
You'll get rid of that.
Can I
fucking
get a little
ad.
background information? Like, what do we?
So,
Okay,
so what
so-
we're watching here is, I guess, a parallel to it's Justin Timberlake is on stage here, and sort of
Fast forward
reenacting,
about
like,
10
Steve
years.
Jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's about 2028 in Malaysia. I gotta turn up the volume here, I think.
I don't know if we need to listen to the full song.
No,
The
full song.
the-
No, not at all.
the
I'm gonna
point
mute
I'm
it.
trying to
gonna
make
mute it,
here
actually.
is actually going to be near the end of the video. So as you can see, he comes in very Steve Jobs-esque, and now he's going to go off to the sideline.
And this is supposed to be JT 2028.
Yeah, this is JT in 2020.
Well,
right now.
it's
and
just-
he's presenting the first robot. Because I muted it. I muted it. Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna put it on the video. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah,
He'll edit it in.
yeah. Go ahead, Jazz.
So if you could just skip ahead a little
Okay,
bit
skip
now.
ahead here?
So we'll go to the middle of the video.
Okay.
And as you can see, he's dancing,
And grabbing his nuts.
the robot is mimicking his dance moves. Now if we go to the end,
Okay, sure. Like around here.
Wow, skipping to the end right
the
away.
very end, like right, I believe right here, yeah.
Yeah, this is the whole music video.
He's having sex with a
Another background
another
dancer.
background dancer because
So it's a robot
Yeah,
and
robots
six
involved, yeah.
female humans dancing.
look at that.
So the making of shows that's actually JT in the robot. Like he was.
Yeah,
the
it's like a suit, right?
he was the
And
one.
JT just disappeared.
Okay, so now he just disappeared. Now can we pull up the album art, please?
Album art, sure. Yeah.
So we just watched robot perform on stage as if he was
Present.
Justin Timberlake, but
And
Justin
then-
Timberlake's off stage.
Yes.
And at the end, beautiful entertainment done. Justin Timberlake slowly fades and disappears.
He disappears. So now
Wait, I can't type right now, but go ahead. The new one.
just the album.
What's it called again?
Something.
While they're looking this up, Steven, is it a good song?
Oh, so okay, it's kind. So I was telling Pika about this. So the first time you listen to Sexy Back,
Yeah.
you're like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
it's something different, something new, something. And then you listen the second time, third time, fourth time, fifth. You're like, wow, okay.
All of a
I'm
sudden,
getting
your
into the groove.
foot's tapping. And
So it came out yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday.
yeah, recently.
It came out Friday or
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Thursday night, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Came out. I've listened to it over 10 times now. And yeah, I love it. I love it. It's different. It's
It's
different.
just a classic Timbaland beat.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very wacky, and then but it has a
Timberland or Timberlake?
Timbaland
Timberland.
produced.
Yeah,
by
no, I just
Timbaland.
wanna make sure, yeah.
So he has those funky drums, and it's just
I want to mention one
a little
thing
bit
about,
more computer
Steven's
noise.
reaction to the listen to the song for the first time. I remember watching the VMAs when he was performing My Love for the first time. Did that not have an effect on you though? Like, did that not was like
I thought-
it's a hit right away? Do
I
you
thought-
remember watching that ever?
First time I listened to My Love, I was like, but I agree.
Yeah,
Sexy
I
Back, I was kind of
remember.
like, what
It's
is
weird.
this? But
Yeah.
My Love was like, it was different. It was like,
It was good and different.
yeah, but it wasn't like it wasn't gonna hit the top charts for like a month. It was like a really good song, but it wasn't gonna be your album leader.
yeah.
But
This
like,
is-
it was good.
I just compare this to Sexy Back in terms of like what you hear it first time, you're probably not gonna be like, you're gonna be like, what is this?
Do you
Second or third time, you'll like it.
Is he gonna be putting out hits into his like late 40s? Like, is he gonna be the like one of the first career artist from
already
like.
is.
But I mean, I'm saying like, yeah, I guess he is, right? How old is he? Was he 38?
I think younger. I don't know.
I'm gonna. Someone can Google that, but there you go.
So
guys.
there.
Yeah,
So
take a
now
look at
if
the
we
screen,
if we look at the screen right now,
36.
to the
He's
right.
36. So yeah, I mean,
God damn! Look at that skin.
that's
Alright, go on.
that's the album art.
Yeah.
So a fan theory is after that music video that we watched, that's just the intro track. It's super funky, and he gets transported away, ends up in the forest,
Be a hermit.
and then it goes more into a country vibe, and then comes back around into
Love that.
more of like a new school
Wow.
vibe. Especially if you
Like
look,
if you
and
listen, if you
follow
listen
through
to
the
them
track list.
1 to 10 or
Yeah,
1 to
if you
12 or
if you
whatever
follow through the
tracks,
track list as well and look at the names of the songs,
That's the theory.
you can kind of
it
see.
goes from electric to country.
Yeah,
like not,
like,
no,
well,
but like,
Man of the Woods is what the album's called, and if you listen to that song, it has nothing to do
Does
with
it-
February
I
2nd.
feel-
Yeah,
any
it doesn't. I was
themes.
I
surprised to see that. I was expecting country, and
Ju-
Yeah.
the song came out.
We're definitely
Yeah,
listening to
I was
this
gonna
in Scottsdale.
Justin Timberlake is like, I think, really in tune with
Oh,
trends
yeah.
and what's going on. Do you think he's going back to country because people are like getting a little bit too tied into their phones and they're just like so? And then he's like, there's a lot of demand for people going back to like the natural style of lifestyle. Do you think that's like what he's playing on?
Actually, I think you have it up right now. If you had his age,
Yeah.
He's from where's he
Memphis.
born?
Tennessee.
Memphis,
Yeah, Memphis,
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
So he originally grew up on country, and he's always wanted to make a country album.
Gotcha.
He had said his next album would be country. So I was a little surprised when this was his first single that he dropped, and it was this. And that was the
This-
album art that leaked prior to the album coming out,
Was
or
that?
this single was Man of the Woods.
Wait, let me finish the song first.
Oh, you listening to it right now? Are you listening to it right now?
No, I'm not. But I want to finish whoever's speaking last to finish the song.
Yeah, it's jazz.
Sorry, go ahead, Jazz.
No, that's fine. That I'm good now on that.
He's good now.
I love you too, Cash.
No, but go ahead. He's done. He's done his thought.
I don't know. I haven't honestly I haven't listened to it thoroughly. What's I would say though, I was over here more talking about. I mean, the idea that when you first hear something and it changes the second time, I don't know, like it. I feel like I don't know if you guys agree, but I feel certain artists have that in their song.
Well, you know, you're pretty much a saxophonist prodigy, I would assume. So, like, you have a particular.
Pika's radio voice coming out.
I know. You like that?
If I could interject super fast, I brought up the track list and I just want to go through it with you guys.
Yeah, go
Can
through it,
can
go
you
through it.
also bring it up?
It's on Wikipedia. My goodness, the alcohol is now seeping in.
Don't worry, we're still plugged in.
Yeah, we're good.
Man of the Woods album. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just search Man of the Woods track list. So the first one and what we listened to was Filthy. The next one is Midnight Summer
This is doing
Jam.
incredibly well, by the way.
Then Sauce. Pika, can you bring that up?
I'm bringing it up right now.
Pitchfork right there. There's the image. Up.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
up, down.
This one.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
And make
Midnight
it,
Summer Jam, Sauce, Man of the Woods.
just zoom
Higher
in a bit
Higher.
for Imran's eyes.
Oh yes, sir.
What song with these titles?
No, just listen. So if you listen to the song, Cash, it's very electronic, and the album name is Man of the Woods. The cover art for it is very country, and then I don't know, 3 or 4 songs in, we have songs called Wave, Supplies, Morning Light. There's a song called Flannel, Montana, Breeze of the Pond, Living Off the Land. So I think he's making a transition to a country album.
Seems like it.
It
Totally
does,
seems like
right?
it. It's going from like a bit more abstract to like very like visual. Like like what was the last one? Something Pond.
I think so. But,
Yeah, a breeze off the pond.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of these artists that have been around so long, like they try and find any way to get more attraction to the album, like whatever it takes. I don't know. Like I don't trust this shit anymore. Like they can say whatever they want. People just like love them one day, hate them the next, and it just keeps going. And then someone else comes and does something they never loved before. And I feel like Kanye was the first to do that. Like he came and he said he doesn't
Well, I think there's a high bar to be an artist these days, like to be a music artist, like especially if you have such a huge impact on your fan base when they're at a certain age, like possibly Kanye, but definitely JT's got, like, a lot of us were in high school.
Eminem.
Eminem, like maybe I think that's for every artist. Like when you're on your come up, you're getting people at a certain age. You're not generally wooing over the 40-year-olds or the 30-year-olds or the 20-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like, you're normally getting people who are younger. So for your career to actually advance throughout your life, I think you need to find ways. And I think that's what I'm learning about all this JT stuff right now, to be honest. But I think he's put some thought into this album, and he's trying to make it a bit more integrated of a marketing approach, but also the songs a little bit different. He's exploring different ways. And I think that's what I would expect from artists that I really liked, to adapt to where I am in life. And I don't think a lot of artists do that. So, like, I don't know. The bad example would be like a Britney Spears who, like, couldn't act. That's a bad example. Usher's actually a better example. Usher's who, we obviously all loved. Your older friends or family gave you some of his tracks and you learned about him. He crushed it. And then after a while, then he started to fade. And then there was a point when I thought, while Usher aged and while we aged, he started to then put out songs that would be replaceable with Jason Derulo and Tayo Cruz. Because I remember listening to the radio and being like, oh, who's this? This is another shitty Jason Derulo track. We're like, no, that's Usher. So now he's starting to meet the people who are, the young teeny boppers, when his core audience is actually much older. Yeah. And you, instead of like doing what the other artists are doing, I think to really have a strong career, you should just follow your core fan base and grow with them. And I think for Usher, he actually has the ability, and JT has the ability to do that because they're based off of their skills. A lot of is in their voice and the feel to their song, and obviously dancing too. But like, so I think with JT, I'm curious to see how this goes, because he's been very opposite of Kanye. He's actually been very discreet and reclusive, and not giving people a lot of his personality, not giving out a lot about his songs, not going on any album like Kanye used to, not just being in the media. So like, he's controlled his image. So now he can come out with this album, spend a lot of money on design, digital enhancers, maybe have some strategists on like technology advisors, and be like, let's make this an integrated experience that really meets everyone in the media world. But then also, let's see how the music follows up, and like, does it could be electronic. That's cool, because that's where music is pretty much right now. But like, now the countryside, is that now how you age with your group and bring it home a bit more, connect with the 30-year-olds who are listening to your songs rather than the 18-year-olds who are just graduating high school.
I'm connected already.
Yeah.
But Steve, let me ask you this.
Steve,
that's what I like. Is
if Justin Timberlake
he's
had a
gonna
little
like
Harvey Weinstein moment, would you still be a fan?
Ooh.
Answer the
How about this?
question.
How about this? Before he answers that, what about with Louis C.K.?
Louis C.K.?
Where are you at? Where are you at?
Okay, so Louis C.K., I would say this.
I bought you
you
some
were in
time.
full denial when I
No worries.
posted that.
I'll say one thing. I'll say one thing about Louis C.K. Luckily, it was. That's okay. I purposely put it there. With Louis C.K., I'd say this. Yes, it's disgusting. It's something I can't even empathize with, obviously. Jerking off in front of your fellow comedians and then finishing. Apparently, the situation was like this. He was, the two girls that walked into the room thought it was a joke initially, and he's just rubbing one out. And then he finishes, and then they stopped laughing. But they were initially laughing as he was rubbing.
But like laughing because they're
because it's Louis C.K. and they
Uncomfortable.
no,
you're
no.
uncomfortable.
I don't think so. No,
Yeah, I
they
don't
walk
think
in
so.
and they see anyone doing that. They're just like, oh my god, position of power. He's like incredibly famous right now, and they're like, haha, laugh, feeling
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Like, it is not. There's no enjoyment for a second. I
No,
personally believe.
absolutely
so
not.
I would say it is with a little more tolerance or nuance with comedians, because they do crazy shit like that, and they were also comedians. And
Who does crazy shit like that?
Comedians do.
I think comedians
if you listen
do.
to Stories in the Green Room that happen at the Comedy Store. At least I listen to many podcasts where people do insane, vulgar shit all the time amongst each other.
Male ones,
Male and female.
but do females do it because they're trying to fit in an industry that
That's
they were
more- yeah.
never been accepted?
Well,
So they're like, I just got to do what I got to
I
do,
think that's a bigger.
but they don't want to be doing it.
That's a bigger existential question too, because you could ask yourself that, if you want to be deemed equal in terms of gender, that you are able to tolerate both things. You're able to tolerate vulgarness of women and males.
So where do you stand with him now?
So I would say this. I would say I don't agree with what he did, obviously.
But I still love him.
I still like. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think I still like his work. I'm not gonna not like his work. I never. I don't think people. It's gonna. People watch Bill Cosby work is gonna. It's all tainted in a sense because he kind of went too far. But it's not like whatever. I think.
So
whatever
your
Louis C.K.
line in the sand is a little bit more that way. Then.
I would say
if-
Louis C.K. because he never actually. I don't think it necessarily crossed.
So
the
rape
line.
is the line for you.
What's that?
Rape is the line.
If
Yeah.
he
Fair,
ma-
okay.
if
So
if
that's all we wanted.
What-
We just wanted to know where your
if
line
he
is.
masturbated in
Rape is the line.
if
At least
he
he has a line.
masturbated in
It's
front of you,
Rape is the line. Rape is the line.
if he masturbated in front of you in a closed room and finished, would you enjoy his work still?
I put my mouth on something. What's that?
Do not cut that shit out. Do not cut that shit
If
out.
he masturbated in front of me, I mean, it's different, obviously, for a guy. Guy on guy is different.
No, but still, like, what, like,
Terry
how would you
Crews
feel about
doesn't
that?
feel way.
What's
Terry
that?
Crews feels-
Would you then be like,
Terry
you know
Crews
what?
was physically assaulted.
Yeah,
right?
the guy
But would
grabbed
you
his
be like,
nuts.
you know what? I just don't look at him the same way.
Of course, yeah, I can't look at him.
And I feel like women often do a better job of putting themselves into other people's shoes than guys do.
yeah, probably.
Right?
I
So
mean,
women would be like, what? Could you imagine being in that room and him doing that to you? Like, I could never watch his show again.
They're also
yeah, but then
probably.
again, like, they can't ask a guy to be a woman in the room because
Mike.
they're a guy and not a woman, right? So you would definitely you'd react the same way I would. It's a dude doing that. Right, and for a girl, it's completely different in how she's seeing a male masturbate.
But if a guy
I
tried
don't
to
think
trap
gay guy
me into
coming
that
at you.
experience, I'd be like, if a guy tried to trap me into that experience, I'd be like, I'd probably feel as offended as a woman.
as offended,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he would have to be.
An
it'd be
unwa-
worse
it's
for a woman
why?
In
It's
what
an
way?
unwanted sexual like.
for sure,
Right?
But guys,
Experience.
but like, okay, so
You
then-
keep thinking of it as a heterosexual male
I'm
doing
actually
it.
well, yeah, because
So
he is
it's not.
heterosexual,
But
right?
no, the example Mark's giving, it wouldn't be a heterosexual male
It'd
doing
be Kevin
it. to you.
Spacey.
Yeah. So now
Right.
Kevin Spacey's in a
Right,
room
right.
with you and he masturbates and finishes.
And I knew he was a homosexual, then yes, I would treat it. Yes, then I understand what you're saying. But
That's
I-
what we're
I
looking
was-
for,
yeah,
and that I
that's
think
good.
that's where he's going
I
with.
see.
It's hard for a man to put himself in the shoes of a woman
Yeah.
because
Yeah. But then that's like a whole other thing.
even when we drew you a map.
But I don't think this is like. I think this is a man and woman thing. But I think it's more a power
I'm talking about
thing.
Louis C.K.
I think it's more power. Like obviously, like so here, like gender matters, and like I think so. Going to your point about
Yeah.
whose point about empathy, his point about empathy. That was like, yeah. I think women just deal with it way more regularly than you. Like I don't get molested every day. Like I don't get like visually molested.
Never
People,
get yeah.
like-
When does that happen?
yeah. Well, when does that happen? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So
Speaking,
And on top
So-
of that, we high five the. It goes as far as to we high five the student that has sex with the teacher.
yeah,
and
lip
it goes vice
lip
versa,
from
it goes reverse,
yeah
like,
lip
it
from
starts
Shameless
there.
fucking crushed it. But
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like so going to that point, I think it's like so women would I think they're so much more accustomed to it that their skin's a little bit thicker and they're like okay they can not let it roll off but like they would giggle it off rather than freak out because like oh shit this is the next step from like all the eyes that have been on me on my walk over. This is just someone taking that like going to the next step. It's more power. I think power is the problem here. It's like all these stories. Gender is obviously an issue because a lot of men are abusing women in that way. But I think it's all about power. It's like what are these elite Hollywood people doing to influence their power against people who need them? They desperately need those people to make decisions to say, I like your face. I like your talent. I like whatever it is. And I want you in my program. Louis C.K. abused his power. And as a comedian, I think I'm going to paraphrase, so obviously this could be wrong. I think those women are probably almost more offended that as a role model comedian, he did that to them versus some guy jacked off in front of them. So it's the guy that they looked up to, looking for that support.
they mentioned that in the
Like they
article.
say, never meet your heroes, and that was the fucking example of it, right? So like I think that's the story that's coming out here, and now you're starting to see permeate through all these places. So whatever has happened has been wicked because it's like now CEOs are coming. Like, see how many CEOs have stepped down in the last like month?
So does you think why?
Yeah, that is.
100%. 100%. Disney CEO. Didn't Disney CEO
Yeah.
step down?
Yeah.
But was
Yeah.
there allegations of any kind?
No.
I haven't heard
It's
of it.
internal. It's
The-
getting
the-
handled
I bet you-
internally before it comes
They would
to
they
light.
would rather
It's-
deal with it and say, hey, you
yeah.
should step down rather than this all go public. He gets bad press. The company gets bad press, so it's like internal conversation. He steps down.
I would
Their
bet-
stock cannot take a hit.
This is
Why,
this
though?
is probably the conversation.
Do you
so
have
the,
it?
the
Do you have it?
So
Google's,
the bo-
CT or not CTO, but someone from Alphabet left as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
possibly,
Okay.
but it makes sense. So think about it. So if
Someone's
someone in
locker room.
Disney or California or whatever
So hoping.
in that area, they're like, yeah, someone on the board is just gonna call them out, say, you know,
You shorting
step out.
Alphabet?
I'm shorting the market.
Mark in general.
In general.
He's been doing it for too long, and I should have
What
followed
was
him on
it?
that.
Brought to you by Q-Trade. We have the Disney value.
Oh, it's interesting because
What,
is that
stock?
They're doing pretty well. I mean, in the last 3 months, Disney stock's going from 100 to 112. So like we're 12%.
Recently?
Well, they got. I mean, recently looked up Lucas.
Fox.
Fox. The Lucas films, like they're
7 billion, right?
Yeah, but they're planned for the new Star Wars movies. Like they have like what's like one storyline and one new one storyline.
We don't want to get into it.
No, wait. Who here?
I'm not talking about the
haven't seen
enjoyment of the
that.
movies. They're
Wait.
gonna make a lot of money.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, we can just go there.
Speak.
I will say this. You guys gotta keep in mind that like
speaking-
when it was the 80s when Star Wars came out, right? 70s, 80s?
70s,
70s.
late 70s,
That was
mid
the
70s.
those children were the adults that obviously would be the article writers today, the ones who are continuously keeping it relevant today. They're the ones that are essentially keeping it. The ones that are
Yeah,
keeping it
it's
relevant.
what's his face who wrote the script.
So- so-
Rian
So would you say that
Fucker.
our generation now would want a more modernized version of those stories, and the ones who are critiquing it are the ones comparing it from the 70s? No, yes. Would we not be saying that? Because now kids from a generation now would definitely want to definitely see special effects now, modern day special effects, not anything comparative.
And
to,
have their own story that they can call their own, right?
yes.
rather than us holding on to that old story and saying bring that back.
And that generation Y can have their own kind of version of it. But
It's not necessarily. Well, I guess my biggest gripe with it is it was just super cheesy and.
yeah.
Spoilers.
already?
First of all, spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, not
I
spoilers.
haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I
Yeah.
have. So
The
then
Last Jedi? I haven't seen the Last
Yeah,
Jedi.
you haven't
let's
seen
not
it
talk
either?
about it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
let's pass that.
I've
Have
seen
you guys?
Rogue One.
But you had mentioned earlier you'd seen Bright and you really liked
That-
that.
I did
think
like Bright.
I think we're gonna bring Will Smith
Okay,
into
I'll
the
mention
fold.
Bright right now. Okay, so about Bright, I would say that like
I fell asleep.
Shout out
Wow.
Joe Rogan.
Okay, I would say this. I would say like if you just took it as Lord of the Rings, and okay, fine, but you
That's
took Lord of the
fine.
Rings and then you immediately ignore anything in between that time and then 2017 and just let it happen. I think they did a good job in terms of executing that storyline. I don't think Will Smith would have taken that script unless he also felt and his team felt that this was a marketable product to the world, because Netflix has to realize they have to appeal to a global base now. That's why he's doing a press tour around the world.
I have
28% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I have 2
Quick-
points on that.
Has everyone seen it? Have you
How
seen
about,
it?
how about,
I-
what's the
I
other- 28
haven't-
What's the other one? What's the other?
I haven't
what's
either.
Crowd?
Oh, okay.
What's crowd
'Kay.
say? What's crowd say, Mark?
Yeah, I can bring it.
It's right next to 28%, so you can just say it out right now.
28%. Audience score 87.
douche!
What
But
does that?
doesn't,
What does that
that
prove?
doesn't mean anything.
You're just going one data set
I already-
versus
I already
another.
talked-
Marketable.
So
That
we
is
talked
a
about
completely
this.
marketable product.
It's all the Will Smith fans out
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
just
They're the
rating
only
it.
ones who are
So let's
rating
let's
it.
talk about Will Smith's career
And I
for a
love
second.
Will
Wait,
Smith.
wait,
I love Will
Let's go down
Smith.
the Will Smith movies.
slow down.
Hold on.
Slow your roll. Slow your roll. Jazz had a couple points. Jazz had a couple points. No,
Go ahead, go ahead. I'm gonna pull
You
it
don't
up.
need to
So
jump yet.
so
Yeah, slow.
for, I guess Pika right now, from what I can gather, is you are the only person here who has seen Bright. So
No, Steven
and
fell
Steven.
asleep to it.
And Steven. So there was one thing, I haven't seen it yet, but I read a quick little thing on it, and one guy had commented, he's like, it needed either a prequel or a sequel, and that would have helped it so much. And then the other point you had touched on is Will Smith obviously felt like it had some merit in order to do it. I read an article, oh man, this was, I would say 10 years ago or maybe longer, where it was talking about how he chooses his movies and what he does.
This is what I was gonna get into.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
Okay, him and it's his agent, I believe.
This was after Fresh Prince.
And yeah, this
Yeah.
This was
and
after
was
Fresh
like,
Prince.
This was like before, I would say 2007.
No. This was in 90. Like what is it?
No,
90?
I know, but I'm just saying, like if you take a look at the list up that I have on the screen up there,
We don't even.
this is every movie before 2007.
We don't even need
okay,
that.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Like,
Like
we're
based
just-
on an algorithm that you're going to explain right now.
Or it was his own, him and his agent's own. They were going through the newspaper, right? They would
Yeah.
go through the newspapers and see which grossed the most at box office.
Yeah.
And it was always like
Sci-fi.
sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after. And then
So sorry, but this is after Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
After Fresh Prince, and then he basically based these decisions on
Nine-
from
90
Fresh Prince to, like,
90
2007, 2005.
So like Independence Day onwards.
So
Let's go
so
with that.
so at that time, so this is my issue with Will Smith. Like I actually I have not issue. I just disappointed. After Fresh Prince, which ended what 98, 99?
Yeah.
98, 99?
When it ended?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know when it ended. When
Oh.
did Fresh Prince end?
around 98, 99. So
96.
96?
Yeah.
So okay, so 94 94 to 96, him and his agent just looked at like box office hits over the last 10 years, and all they saw, it wasn't an algorithm. I'm
saying that's what they call it. That's what their formula was. I just use the word algorithm.
Yeah. All they saw though is like they bootstrapped it. They just saw who made the most money, on movies, and then money dictates how not good of an actor, how
much
success
pay you get based on percentage, right?
How much pay you get and how successful of a career you're gonna have. So him and his agent looked at that over the last 5 years, and then they decided the next movie they took, Independence Day. Then they take like Men in Black, and they take all these movies that are all just based off of what's gonna sell the most. Speaking of international promotion, Bright. This is not the first movie Will Smith's promote. He'll promote. The reason Will Smith's bankable is because he will put in the time and work and go and promo across the world. I remember my grandma probably had like something on, and he was on an Indian show singing some Hindi songs, and he was like, so he's in India promoting, like, well, let's just say it's Hitch or whatever, or not as good of Hitch. Let's just say it's like what's the one where it's him
really likes Hitch.
Yeah, I like Hitch too.
Yeah, that was actually a good
movie. Hitch was probably in my top 10 of most watched movies I've ever watched.
Oh my God.
So I used to have it as a DVD.
But let's say it's the one where it's After Earth with his son. The one that didn't do well. After Earth worldwide.
That was After Earth.
After Earth.
I didn't watch it.
Worldwide, it probably crushed.
And I was going to just elaborate on the format because I do remember the story. What Will Smith and his agent did is that they looked at the top 10 grossing movies, and they saw that the top 10, like 9 out of the 10 top 10 grossing movies were sci-fi. And then out of those 9 out of the 10 movies, they saw that they had a love story in them, or 8 out of those 9 stories had a love story, so they had to also include a love story. And then they, something about a hero, I believe. But then most
that's why he did
that.
That's why he did Hancock.
Hancock. There you go. Or superhero
Drunken Hero.
Right?
Drunken Hero.
So he combined all 3 genres, in which determined his career path moving forward after Fresh Prince. And all those movies reflect that.
So it was all calculated.
It's all fairly calculated, which he was right.
Which is
that's
shit.
a very simple.
Yeah.
That's shit. That's like
but isn't that how we all operate in business? Like, don't.
Okay, when was how about this? When was the last Will Smith movie you truly liked?
I Am Legend. One of my top 5 all time.
Wow,
top 5 all time.
Wow, props.
Sometimes movies are when you watch them in your life.
Can we get Cash in this? Hey, Cash.
It's a top. It's the ear.
What are your thoughts on I Am Legend, and what's your favorite Will Smith movie?
When was the last time you liked a Will Smith movie? And I Am Legend's 2007, by the way. That's a decade.
When was the last time you liked a Will Smith movie? Or what was the last Will Smith movie that you liked?
Bro, the thing is, though, I like Will Smith movies that people don't believe I like.
Like what?
Like what?
Pursuit of Happiness?
Yo, that was a good movie.
Pursuit of Happiness?
I cried.
Shark Tale? You like Shark Tale, don't you?
Put it closer.
I love Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
I love the 7 Pounds.
Okay.
Most people hated 7 Pounds. Most people hated 7 Pounds.
Yeah, I didn't like 7 pounds.
It was weird.
I thought it was very well made. I don't know. Like, I understood that it was cheesy and, like, that's just Will. Like, he does those movies. But
So you gave him the benefit of the doubt with it then?
Will Smith movies always have a meaning. Even though they're not necessarily, like, the best made or high budget movies. First of all, I think he always portrays the roles really well. But also, he always has a meaning. Like, has anyone watched Bright? Like, his newest one?
Did you watch it? So Steven and Pika have seen it. So what did you think of Bright? Because Steven hated it, Pika loved it.
I didn't love it. I just thought it was very well executed, and I thought it was well done.
So Cash, where do you stand on Bright?
I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually.
My man.
My man.
Earlier with music, how certain things you watch it the first time, or you listen to it the first time and you don't like it, the second time you hear the song, it really hits the spot. Like, it just gets better and better. I feel like with movies, it's not necessarily that same movie because you don't watch movies over and over again, but the category of movies, as other movies come out with similar styles, start to like more. This is one of those movies that, like, it was very unusual. It was unusual, and like you haven't seen any like that before. So inevitably, the viewer is gonna sit and be like contemplate whether or not they really like it. And so like I found myself doing that, but man, that
Bright was?
social issue.
I think just based off the trailer from what I saw, there's
Like-
fairies and stuff, and humans don't like fairies. Or
Cash, do you mean like discrimination?
yeah, so I'm guessing whites versus blacks.
So in the movie, orgs are discriminated amongst other, like there are certain social classes, like the elves are the high class, human beings.
Every
are
movie,
mid-class.
elves get the top.
Yeah,
Every
elves-
fucking movie.
Dude,
Lord of
elves
the
are-
Rings.
elves are
What are you referring
sexy.
to?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're fucking like godly. Everyone, I think you got
They live
the
forever. They're the most intelligent. They're very powerful as well.
Who-
They're super strong.
They have great eyes.
who are
They
the
have
ones
great
with the
eyes.
hammers
Those ears are
in Lord of the
covers.
Rings? The
What's that?
short ones, hairy
dwarves.
ones.
Dwarves,
Those guys
yeah,
get a
yeah, yeah.
fucking hard
Gimli.
So, Steven, do you have a top Will Smith movie?
Yeah, you have a top Wilson movie. Concussion.
I'm saying so like, but we're all Will Smith. I think
But I
so.
see you're
I'm
saying
a Will
recent.
Smith
But
fan.
but we're all Will Smith fans.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like
LeBron James.
we're all Will Smith fans. I'm saying like we're so biased to like giving him benefit of the doubt, and we're
For
gonna
this long. I
yeah,
know.
and like, I'm saying like if you took out the Will Smith lens, you wouldn't watch half his movies.
Hell
You wouldn't watch any of these movies. I'm just like,
No.
and it's just like yeah, he's
But because it's Will Smith. Yeah.
yeah, and like, but I'm like so like that's
He's like our generation's Adam Sandler.
Our
Our
That's
generation.
kinda-
We're
that's
all
kinda
the same
close.
age, Jack.
No,
Well, like, you know,
but
like,
Adam
I'm saying-
Sandler's like
Adam-
more of like an 80s, 90s kind
Yeah,
of guy.
yeah, he's like
I-
an 80s guy.
Different-
Oh,
different
so,
genre-
like,
different
because
genre-
because
I would-
Adam Sandler's in it, you'd watch it.
Do
He's
you
one-
guys
he's-
watch every Adam Sandler movie that
I
comes
watched
over?
I watched quite a few.
No, I
Adam
haven't.
Sandler
mostly.
But he's one of the highest grossing actors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know, but they're all terrible.
Yeah, they're
everyone.
terrible.
but again,
So
so-
that's what I'm saying.
But I would still watch it. It's kind
That's
of like
surprising. I've given up.
Do
on
you think there's a bit of a difficulty for like actors
I want to see the
when
new
they're
one, the
young,
Norwich Story.
like sub 35? It's easy to get those cool action movies, and then for the next 15 years, it's hard to find good movies where they're gonna be absolute stars. And like I think Leonardo DiCaprio is a bit different because he's got that relationship with Tarantino.
Yeah.
But like, do you think it's just hard for actors to get those amazing, cool roles past 40?
I mean,
Because like Will Smith in Independence Day, amazing. I Am Legend. He was jacked in I Am Legend.
yeah,
He's still
And-
jacked.
Tom Cruise?
But
he is, and then
Tom Cruise, I think, is just like
superhuman, right?
he's off on some other chart. I don't know what. I don't understand why people like him.
Oh, because
I like him, but I don't understand like
He's
why.
a movie star. He's like a
Yeah.
true movie
Like
star.
the stories
He's
you
very
hear about him
charismatic.
is like insane. Like the thing,
Yeah.
like I just
the Scientology stories are even scary.
I just can't. I don't understand him.
I would say.
But
like
sorry,
10
top movie. I don't know if we heard
Oh,
top
yeah,
movie.
we didn't hear top movie.
Top movie.
Yeah, top
Will
movie.
Smith.
The
Why don't we
list is
why don't we
on-
go everybody top movie Will Smith?
I will do that, but the screen's on the list is on the
I
screen.
think it might be I Am Legend for me, but
I
Take a look
I
here, right there.
I jumped quick and early, and I stand by it.
Okay, so we got Mark with
iRobot,
Mark with
Bad
I Am
Boys,
Legend.
Wall-E.
Bad Boys. I recently watched Bad Boys 2.
There
It
you
is
go.
hilarious.
It is pretty good.
Yeah, I
Like
was
when
but-
him and Lawrence
I
are
know.
like scaring
I don't
her,
know.
his daughter.
Yeah.
It's
Get
hilarious.
out.
I have to
The
go with
way-
Hitch. Hitch is
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
so we got Hitch.
Interesting,
We got
okay.
Did
Hitch.
you like Focus? Anyone like Focus?
Yeah,
I like
Focus. I
Focus.
enjoyed.
I
I
like
enjoyed
Focus.
Focus. It was like I like those kind of like mind manipulating
Yeah.
movies. Like,
Yeah,
it-
me too.
And we all really just like
I
Margot
think-
Robbie. Just
I don't know, but-
that shit.
Except for her new movie. I haven't seen it yet, but
I did.
who is
I
he
watched
playing?
it.
The-
I watched it.
yeah, it's like
he's playing the
It's-
genie in
she did a lot-
Aladdin.
She did a good job. I think
she's not portraying that hot.
that's
Can we
Which-
talk
which
like-
is fine.
Margot Robbie.
She wants to be
I
taken as
know.
a serious actress.
I
right?
know.
So,
Jesus.
What you talking about the figure skating one?
yeah, Cash. What do you got?
But
What's
she
up,
is,
Cash?
but
Guys.
she is a good actress though. Like I actually think she can act.
I'm looking at a list of Will Smith movies, and
You like all of them, don't you? Oh fuck, Bagger Vance.
obviously biased because we all like
Oh
Will
my
Smith.
God, what is what?
Let yo,
And then like so many of his movies were first of their kind when they came out. Like Men in Black, nothing like Men in Black existed before Men in Black.
I kind of agree. Like I Am Legend, we saw so many apocalyptic movies after that, zombie movies. But like
Yeah.
I Am Legend was like one of the first really good movies. That's a good point, Cash.
What's that? Was I Am Legend before? I thought I Am Legend was in the heart of all the zombie stuff. I Am Legend, like,
I mean,
Oh,
if
it's
we're
pretty
gonna go
early.
into
I Am
Zombieland, World War Z, they all came afterwards.
Those
but zombies have been like so.
that's been ever
that-
since what's his face.
it's been for a
created them
long
in the
time, like
80s.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, but like to me, zombies are
My
always
favorite zombie
around.
movie.
Like zombies are. But I see what he's saying, and when I think of movies, I actually feel like, to be honest, Men in Black 1 and 2. No, number 1, Men in Black
One.
might be
There's a
my
reason why there's
number
three of
one.
them.
Men in Black number 1 might be my favorite Will Smith movie because you can actually see him transition from the Fresh Prince in the beginning of that movie.
So Bad Boys apparently was the spark
No,
of that.
but like
Because he was a kid, he was a goofy kid in Fresh Prince, and then to transform into a sex object,
He had to
appeal
go-
object, yeah, was the first Bad Boys. and then and then obviously you see him more of that Brad Pitt type of Tom Cruise-y star.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cash. What were you gonna say? He was gonna say something on that.
No, I think I said it, but I think like, can I just list out some of these movies? Like,
Yeah, let's hear him.
just to hear them, because when you look at it and you look at the whole compilation of all his work, it's like it's pretty impressive, man. And even though Imran says like we are biased towards him, I can be biased towards him and like watch his movie, but still be able to give you an unbiased opinion. Like I think we can all agree Hancock sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
bad.
But I also watched it twice.
Yeah.
Probably more than that for me.
Yeah.
I watched it one time.
But Hancock sucked. Like it was horrible. But like, so here let's go. Like Independence Day was like
His breakout movie.
There was Enemy of the State. I don't know if you
I
guys
like that
remember
movie.
I like Enemy
Enemy
of
of
the
the
State.
I
Enemy of the State
liked
was
Enemy
good.
of the
I was
State.
debating between that one and
It
Hitch
was
is
a
my
good, it was
favorite.
a great movie.
Yeah,
actually.
Enemy of the
Liked it.
State.
Reminded me of
I
like
Am
Murder
Legend.
at 1600. What was that?
I don't remember that one.
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes. That's right.
7 Pounds, I, Robot, which like
I liked iRobot.
Social media.
it made a huge.
Good idea. Good.
I actually liked Cash smiling on camera. Cash smiling on camera. We're taking a selfie, and you're in it with our phone. Black Mirror. No, yeah. So he does obviously have. Yeah.
Focus, you guys remember Focus?
Yeah. That was
They're making
okay.
two
They had one
more
scene.
Bad Boys.
Focus had one
The
scene.
stadium scene is what
The-
Imran's referring to. Obviously.
That's it.
That
That was
they're in New Orleans, right?
Is it-
the
is
New
it?
Orleans scene where they're like
in
bouncing
the
around.
yeah.
bed.
That wasn't bad.
Can we just talk about his
Suicide-
upcoming projects
he
for a
was-
second?
He was
with the Asian guy, right?
Guys?
He was forgettable in Suicide Squad.
Oh, I didn't even finish the movie.
That
Yeah.
didn't. That did
Suicide
not
Squad was
land.
terrible, but his upcoming projects,
we hear-
he
yeah,
has
let's hear
Bad
this.
Boys for Life and Bad Boys 4.
I don't know if I believe either of those are real movies.
I saw. Yeah, we saw that.
I've
on
seen
IMDb.
Bad
It was
Boy.
the
I've
same
seen
thing.
Bad Boy sequels on IMDb for like years.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's script then if it's there, and we have Aladdin.
How about this?
Yeah, what's going on with what's the situation with Aladdin?
Yeah.
he's the
voice.
genie for Aladdin.
Those are
Live
huge shoes to fill.
Oh.
Oh, he's
big
not gonna.
time.
He's not gonna. He has to take it a different way, right?
Yeah, because Robin Williams.
What
So-
are you taking a different
So
way?
Will Smith's gonna have to tap
I
into.
like Bright. I'm looking at Bright again. I like Bright.
Don't worry, Cash. There's gonna be a Bright 2.
He's gonna have to.
so weird.
They've signed on for Bright 2 already.
What Cash says is right.
He's gonna have to tap
86% on
into.
Rotten Tomatoes is right.
What about 28%?
Yeah, that's critic though.
Oh yeah.
The market.
Yeah, but like, oh man, I don't know if the market is like not that smart.
So let me ask you this: Is
Well, I want you guys to watch it.
Guys,
Is that
guys,
like-
guys,
that's
can we
money
focus the
matter?
conversation for a
We
second?
had like 3 conversations.
That's
going.
86% of people that voted.
yeah,
People that don't like movies often don't go vote that they're crap.
No, but it's a perfect. It's a great sample size. That's why I don't necessarily look at the critic size because
I don't think it's a great sample size at all.
It's a dumb sample size
crit-
because
the
it
critic-
goes out on his like.
Are
He
people-
puts it out on like his like
well,
personal page or his personal website. Oh, my movie's coming out. Vote for it. Like
So-
all that
so-
Who
stuff
does?
happens.
Who does?
Isn't the left,
Will
isn't
Sm-
the
like Will
critic
Smith's
score what
publicists
people
and
don't
stuff like
ignore?
that, and
Critic
they-
score what people ignore. Like
We gotta-
everyone's
we
like,
gotta have one at a
isn't,
time.
isn't the critic thing what people ignore?
We have one.
Maybe I don't know. What do you guys
So
think
100
about like
people
Will?
versus thousands of people.
What do you think about Will Smith outside of his like movie entertainment? Like he's got a pretty big like presence just in pop culture.
Not anymore.
No, but I mean like sense of like how he, but like
not in your
there used to be
world.
tons of interviews about like how he raised his kids and
Yeah.
stuff and like the
And his
approach he took to
wife,
that
yeah,
and like the
his
relationship he had
family,
with his
everything.
wife. And there was like there was a moment where like it was really interesting to hear about like how Will Smith lives his life and like
That's how he was
Jaden Smith
branded,
as an
for
example,
sure.
like
That's how he was branded.
right. So like I mean his son just dropped a recent album,
Yeah.
Which is like honestly was good.
Half
I liked
decent
it.
album.
half
yeah.
decent,
Did
pretty
you see
good.
him moonwalk on stage?
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see him.
He
on
also
stage.
He's probably gonna be bred into a star. I mean, you put millions of dollars behind,
Think so?
behind anybody.
It's a lot of pressure.
I think he will be.
Social,
Yeah.
he's socially conscious. Like he's like started his own
Yeah.
water bottle
He's
company.
in the Kyrie Irving level of socially conscious, where it's like it's too much.
Yeah.
Is
It's
that
like
a
Try-
fact?
it's
trying too
ignorance.
hard. Trying
it's
too hard.
much. Like Kyrie Irving,
It
is
comes
driving-
off as ignorance.
He's trying too hard to be like so like like I'm so self-aware
Yeah.
that I shouldn't actually have said that.
But that's like how I think Will raised them.
Yeah,
I think
they were like homeschooled and stuff
Or-
like that, right?
Yeah. Or his nanny.
I mean, his wife though, like Jaden. No, is it Jaden?
So
No,
okay,
Jaden.
so one point on Will that actually stuck with me a while ago. So him and his wife have a very weird relationship in my like I feel like they put up with each other, to be honest. They don't actually
It feels like that.
They don't seem like they actually like each other. They're with each other to show some sort of resemblance to the kids, but it's actually for themselves.
House
so
of
that they don't go
Cards.
crazy. Either way, totally House of Cards. Will Smith's getting head from like all these other dudes.
Dudes, wow. You know Will Smith is gay.
House
There
of
was
Cards.
rum-
He
there
said-
was
he
rumors
said
about
House
that.
of Cards. He
I
said
thought
House
there
of
were
Cards.
rumors about
But
that.
so what I was gonna say.
Really?
There was also rumors that him and Margot Robbie hooked up.
Which they
He
did.
should.
I hope
He
they
should
did.
have. But so this
I'm
is
pretty sure him and Jada have an open
So
relationship.
That's
That
that's
is
what I heard.
No, it's
well
that's
known
what I
thing.
heard.
But there's so
Well-known
all
thing.
these rumors. Okay,
No, but that's
no, I think that's all true, and that's like that. I think that's just supposed to be Hollywood. But so, shoes to fill, Robin Williams, shoes to fill, Will Smith. You know whose shoes he's literally filling right now? He's filling Tupac's shoes. Jada Pinkett was Pac's girl back in the day.
Really?
I didn't know that.
That was
know that.
Pac's girl. Like
Oh,
that's
wow.
Tupac's girl. Like just look up
So
pictures.
he-
Social
That's
conscious
what
kind of
they
makes sense, right?
But
Like,
but like so like look who's like Pac squeeze at like one of the last ones on like a equal playing field almost. Like she was hot in those days. That was beyond before I would say any of our times because that was stuff that we wouldn't watch back then. And so she was hot back then, and that was Pac's girl. So now Pac's gone, Will's in. Imagine those shoes to fill, and Will's the clean, squeaky clean guy who gets ratted on for being a no swear word rapper his whole life.
I don't
So
know if
think-
he was- you think he was squeaky clean though? Like remember when he was
Uh,
talking about
he's
like being? You remember he was talking about being in high school and he had a hit because he was a rapper, right? And he had a hit record when he was in his graduating year for a month.
Oh, I heard about that.
And it was on the radio.
Yeah.
And he's like, no child should have that because, and he wouldn't obviously give details,
Yeah.
but obviously you know what he was alluding
Yeah.
to, that anybody
I mean,
would have slept with him.
Squeaky clean in the image he portrayed compared
Yeah,
to the.
portrayed.
Can he
Exactly.
just go
So I
on
know
tour again? Like
Yeah.
that
Well, he
tour
was
tour
Jazzy Jeff-
that
he was supposed to.
Yeah.
I posted a recent thing. They're actually together again.
Yeah, that's what they said like a year ago and year before. and
Agreed,
before.
but for as of I believe 3 weeks ago, him and Jazzy Jeff are currently working
Oh.
together.
Jazzy.
that's pretty incredible.
buy tickets.
One side thing on that Tupac
I
thing.
won't.
Have you guys has the table seen the Defiant Ones?
No, not yet.
It,
yet.
Defiant Ones follows the story of Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine and how it led up to selling the beats to Apple for over like $3 billion. It is probably one of the best musical pop culture documentaries I've ever watched.
I-
4-part
I-
series,
From Mark
HBO,
Brand, by the way.
and absolutely incredible. You get to see like live footage of Eminem rapping for the first time with Dr. Dre in studio.
That's a
And
lot.
you like, I have a newfound respect for Dr. Dre. He left like two incredibly successful
Like
groups.
NWA.
NWA, and again, because he didn't like the direction they were going, he's like, nope, they just weren't representing what I wanted to represent. And
Imagine the courage, eh?
oh, it's absolutely insane. And then he was like down on his luck. They were not going to kind of endorse him any longer. And he's like, guys, give me one chance. I want to bring in this white guy. And they're like, are you fucking serious, man? Like, you just had an album bomb on us, and now you want to bring this guy? And Jimmy Iovine, you got to listen to this guy. He's done like Bruce
He's
Springsteen,
insane.
Bono, like he's done U2, Gwen Stefani, Black Eyed Peas, and then like 9 Inch Nails, Manson. What's Marilyn Manson, like in some insane Eminem.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, man, you just got to let artists do them. He's like, I don't care. Just let them, put them in a hole, let them be creative and don't bug them. And he's like, yeah, okay, bring on this Eminem guy. And then what Eminem turned into probably one of the most successful,
Yeah,
the most successful rapper of all time.
Not even arguably. He had like units sold compared to anyone.
Is
It's
that right?
it's out like
I love
blows
Eminem.
your
Did he
mind.
go double
Oh, yeah.
platinum?
He went more than double
Or
platinum.
double platinum, sorry?
Oh, he went more than double platinum.
Yeah,
Is there a
Hey,
new CD?
Way
coming out?
more than double
Sorry?
Is there
platinum.
a new
That's
CD coming out?
That's a high
He-
praise.
he-
Yeah.
It's already out.
Yeah.
It's already out. It's Revival,
Oh.
and
Do you like it?
we need to get what's his name? That guy with the big beard who does production. He
I don't know. But I'm thinking Metro Boomin.
no, he did. He started with Beastie Boys. He did Beastie Boys,
know.
Jay-Z, all them. He's the one who did 99 Problems with Jay-Z, that really rock heavy.
Yeah.
So he's stuck in M's ear and he's pushing all this rock stuff. So if you listen to M's album, there's a lot of rock stuff, and M's flow over the past few years
It's
has
changed.
become very choppy. But there's a few great tracks, Castle and A Rose, which I recommend you listen to. He just floats on the beat,
I'll listen.
and
It
it's
feels
perfect.
like he's
Have you
trying
guys-
to go for poetic, like broken poetic.
Yeah, and I was gonna
Yeah.
ask too.
Yeah, like spoken
did you
word
see
poetry.
the video he made with like standing up against Donald Trump?
That was
Mhm.
ridiculous.
no.
What'd you guys
Yeah.
think?
Draw a line in the sand.
Well,
Guys,
that's
with me. Or he gets me. Fuck you. It's like
that's how he's
whoa.
always been. If
Yeah.
you look at him with was it White America on the Eminem show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he was
wanted the
against
kids.
Bush. Like
Right. Yeah.
He-
that's all
he's-
it
he's-
is. I mean,
But it's
Very
funny that
democratic.
Bush had a really
very-
similar statement though, with like you're either with us or you're against us in the war against terrorism. I just thought it was really interesting
ironic,
how
yeah.
that Eminem was like, "I'm drawing a line in the sand. You're either with me or against you." And I was like, "Holy fuck, that's exactly what George W. Bush said.
That's
You're with
funny.
us
I
or you're
never made that
against
connection.
us." And I was like, and I was wondering if he was doing that on purpose to be like, "Look, this is so dire that I'm using the kind of quote."
He might be
quote
because
from him,
he's
right?
very cerebral when it comes to words.
Well, like I also like
Yeah.
what was
Lyrical
crazy,
genius.
but he actually said, "I'm going to directly alienate my fans." Not like from the words I'm saying, you guys will infer that I'm not with you. I'm telling you specifically that if you guys are with Donald and you're with me, you pick one.
Well,
And if you're
he's-
gonna be with both, then
yeah.
fuck you, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like what? Like
He
that
understands.
is
we attach
crazy.
ourselves to our politics all the time, right? I
But
mean,
but that like I think that's like you're literally saying like
well, he is.
leave. Like
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
He doesn't need anybody.
Yeah,
Like, I
he's-
don't know.
How long
If you
has he
look
been
at his
around,
numbers,
too?
can somebody bring his numbers up? What he's told? It's
I know.
so outrageous.
In like in overall.
Yeah.
It's so surprised that people obviously are dislike the president of the United States right now, right? And the liberal media is like 2/3 against him, and you have like Fox News
Yeah.
that only support Trump, right? So
Should
it's
be
on,
hun-
it's
should
on
be
very
Is,
100%
is
against
one
him, I
like
think.
I don't want to get too far into politics,
Sure,
but
no,
is
but
but just
we'll
one
touch on it
plain
later.
question: like
Sure.
Bernie Sanders, is he making another run at it?
he's going to be most likely running for the because he's the best candidate for the 2020.
How old is he? 68.
But that
He's going to be no, he's in his 70s. He's nearly pushing 80, I think, right?
so, but what I was wondering is like, let's say he runs.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, okay, well, if he would have gotten the nomination instead of Hillary Clinton, and he
Right.
wanted to do an 8-year
Which is
term,
impossible, by the
but
way.
let's just,
Yeah.
but let's say he wanted to do an 8-year term, then essentially he'd just be doing the second part of his 8-year term. So he's not that old.
He's not that old. No, I
Right?
mean, and it,
Like
hey,
the
look,
world
I mean,
behind
I would assume with advancements in technology, he's going to be able to do the
It's not
presidency. But I would
always-
say
I think that's too
he's
soon.
best- He is the. I would assume he's the best candidate right now, and likely the Democrats will win the House in the midterm elections for Congress right now. So
While we wait for the Eminem stats, have you guys seen? Is it Joyner Lucas? I'm not racist.
Yeah. Oh,
music
have
video.
you guys seen that video?
Incredible.
Yeah.
I was
very
confused
good.
for the first few minutes. It's basically this guy, white guy. He's wearing a "Make America Great
oh,
Again."
is it the two guys that are
Yeah.
talking to each other?
Yeah. At a table.
Bravo. Right?
Yeah.
Well done. You should watch the video.
I haven't seen
It was
Joyner
wonderful
Lucas is
execution.
an upcoming rap artist. He's actually Eminem had mentioned him as one of his favorite rap artists right now, among like 6 other guys.
Yeah.
And he does like pretty aggressive tracks. He has some good remixes to Mask Off and some other stuff.
Yeah.
But
It
this
addresses
video
individual
is
races pretty well.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically like
It's powerful.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. But
It
I always fear
explores
that
the racial argument in the states right now.
Yeah.
Can we get some Eminem stats?
Sure. Why don't you guys
So,
guess
but
how
wait,
much?
but Pika-
What is his net worth?
His net worth.
So Jazz already saw. So what are three of you guys? What do you think his net worth is?
$220 million.
Yeah, sure. That's a fair
Well,
assessment.
you have to all guess one. So he is at 220.
I'm
What do
gonna
you
say
guys?
150.
Okay. What do you say,
Say
Imran?
370.
370. Okay, 190.
Okay.
So yeah.
But as of
it's
when,
around
though?
there.
And that's, there's,
Is that-
there's,
And that was
And
as
that's
of
accurate.
that was June 2017.
I think he's not the type of guy that's like trying to look out for investments. He's not like going and chatting with
No,
VC
yeah.
people and stuff, right? Like he's
that's
probably
his brand though, right?
right.
What?
Yeah, he's
His
a
brand
he's a
is-
he's the everyday Joe.
His brand is just your M. Like you don't like you are your
Don't
own
sell
path.
out,
You
don't
don't know.
sell out.
You're your own, right? Like yeah, possibly don't
Okay,
sell, but
we
you
have the
still got
Marshall Mathers LP, so his most famous album, coming in worldwide sales of 35 million. It has went diamond, so that's 10 times platinum. We have the
double diamond.
oh, he's like crushed double diamond. He's 10 times. We have the Eminem Show at 30 million. Again, another 10 times platinum, diamond. It's 2 diamond albums. That alone is just the numbers are insane. Encore 23 million.
Encore is
5
good.
times platinum. Relapse, 7.5 million, 2 times platinum. Recovery, 15 million, 4 times platinum. And yeah, he starts tapering off, going for 9 million, but that's insane.
Unbelievable.
Considering artists coming out like Drake dropping an album is 400,000 units
Yeah.
sold.
So he's quite durable, and he kind of like
In
took
like
he
a
took
year
people by
or-
surprise,
or,
right?
Or 1 million in a
The thing
year.
that we got to consider as well.
Time and place though too, right?
And
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
Time and
because
place.
we're
Yeah,
like
because
Spotify now,
streaming,
and-
streaming, yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
so M's quite durable. He stood the test of time. He kind of came from nowhere and like made a name for himself. Another guy similar to that's Manu Ginobili, right, Cash?
Manu Ginobili.
Yeah. So Manu, so just doing a little switch back to ball. So you obviously know Ginobili is one of Cash's boys, right? And I think Cash has probably got to get back to studying. He's probably gonna get back to studying. So Cash, I wanted to leave the last question while we had you, to do with Ginobili. Like Ginobili's kind of like, I think, a rare breed of ballers. He's like, yeah, he's Argentinian, so he's not, he's not the typical North American guy. But he from the get go assumed that 6-man position like right off the bat and just knew this is who he was. Is that type of role there? Do you think players? We're gonna see other Ginobilis. We're gonna see any like people who are born to be that much of an impactful role player who sat and did his thing. The example, like the last potential would have been Harden, who we had Harden possibly, but then he needed a bit more room to grow. Obviously, is Ginobili done?
Yeah. I think the thing is, like, what made Ginobili unique, like, I don't know, I feel like we tend to forget, too, like, these guys, culture plays such a huge role, like, upbringing and culture. Like, Ginobili is not, he's not an American dude that comes from the ghettos who like, use ball as a way to get out of, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know his history of, like, how he grew up in Argentina and all that. But, like, Harden would never be that because, like, those guys work their entire lives to be the stars that they are, and it's like they're not they're never gonna accept just being role players, especially if they're as good as they are, Whereas like I don't know, I just think like these European players and stuff, they bring such a different attitude to team sports, and it's really evident. Like me playing, even in Detroit, like when I go and just pick up basketball and I play with these guys, like even in pickup basketball, they don't play for fun. Like even when we play competitively, but these guys like their heart and soul are on basketball court. It's crazy.
So you're a role player?
There's no way to describe it. Huh?
Are you a role player?
Bro, I'm a nobody. I'm a straight nobody. No, but seriously though, like they base their pride on the sport. You know what I mean?
But like, so I guess so that
Because
pride.
that's all they live and breathe that shit.
So the pride is what will change them from a Ginobili type.
Yeah, honestly, that's my opinion.
Right,
That's
so-
why I think like someone like Ginobili
So
will never like you can't.
So you would need it to be some European player who we don't earmark automatically as the next unicorn, because almost any European dude that comes through that's got some sort of like potential, we just thrust them into the light, saying, you're the next Dirk or you're the next. No one says
Eric Gordon, 6th man of the year.
But where's he from?
Lou Williams,
Oh, he's
Drake.
not European.
He's
No,
a
not
starter.
European,
He's a
but
starter though.
No, he's not. He's 6th man of the
Yeah.
year.
Oh, okay.
And like
And he's happy with
He's
it.
a perfect 6th man.
Happy
yeah.
with it?
Yeah.
You don't think he'll leave?
He's just like Ginobili, where if a starter gets out, then he jumps into the starting lineup. Ginobili did that too,
Yeah.
when in his prime.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but
Yeah.
How many rings does he have?
Who?
Ginobili, same as Duncan. or-
5?
No, one less than Duncan.
One
Four?
less than
Four?
Yeah.
4?
Well, I mean, like if anything, I
Three,
mean,
3 or 4.
this is probably his last year. Is this probably his last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like Ginobili, I mean, I'm pretty sure Cash is going to probably retire this conversation. So Jazz, Jazz, since you have Cash on the phone there, Cash, you want to say a few last words before we have to let you go?
One last thing.
Yeah.
One last thing about Ginobili. The other thing is too, like if you guys remember, he was always closing out games, and like every time they try to do the whole 6-man thing with some sort of star player, like they don't necessarily let those players close out games. And with Ginobili, like that was always an understanding, and he like, I guess maybe that's the setup that the Spurs had and the trust that he had in Popovich and all that. But, like I think also that plays a huge role. Like I don't think you could have a Ginobili in an organization that is not established as much as like the Spurs are. You know what I mean? Because the player has to believe in the franchise.
Yeah, no, that's true. You got it. Like there, and that's the big difference with the NBA now is where people are starting to look past just the city name. They're looking past the city name, and they're actually starting to see more of like the president, the GM, the actual. What else? What else is actually coming to? What else is actually on the table outside of just this? Like, yeah. Cash, any last words?
No, that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I wish I could be there to say some shit, but the voices will do for now. And but I guess the birthday boy, what's his name? This guy Steve-O. I hope you have I know the big 3-0 is around the corner.
Small 3-0.
So, like
Small 3-0.
what did he say?
It's
He
a
said
small
small
3-0. Yeah, it's not that
I
big.
mean, you got something else that's small, but not the number.
You don't gotta tell.
Shots fired.
You don't gotta tell all
No,
the
he's,
audience
he's,
that.
he's just talking about his vert, guys. He's just talking about his vert.
I think all of us actually know about it.
Oh my goodness.
At this
and
table.
Shots fired back.
You guys take it easy, try and behave and shit.
Save some lives, Cash. Save some lives.
Save some lives, Cash. Or deliver a baby or something.
Fuck, that's the last thing I want to do.
All right, bro. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for stopping by, Cash.
Love you, Cash.
Love you.
Take care.
Everybody, see you later. I just want to mention, too, we just heard maybe 2 or 3 times the Jazz baddie laugh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty non-existent.
It
I
was-
waiting
I didn't
for-
want to clip the
I was-
microphone too
yeah,
much.
I appreciate that.
And yeah.
So with that, do you guys want to take a break maybe and just go to maybe take the pisser or something? 'Cause I gotta-
Yeah. You're allowed to pee on this podcast, right?
Yeah. We're allowed
Yeah.
to pee.
You're allowed
so
to pee. You're
We're
allowed
gonna
to
take a
pee.
break right now. So
You wanna? Are you
Should we
testing
get
stuff out,
some,
Yeah,
or-
we're
like-
just gonna tap out for a
Should
second
I
here, but
bring
we'll
up
be right
some,
back,
like,
perhaps. Or maybe
intro
we'll
music, like just like. No, I'm joking.
maybe post production.
Yeah. All right,
we'll
let's
take a
pause
break.
it.
Here we go.